over to the Meta stream here, guys. And so, yeah, you don't have to do anything. It should immediately revert you straight on over to the Meta stream. We're gonna be covering the Meta earnings as soon as they drop, plus streaming the entire Meta earnings call. And so, stick around, guys. We'll be back. I'll see you guys over there on the next stream. So, we'll see you guys over there. All right, guys. So we are here for the Meta stream. Meta is currently at 169.95, just under 170 here. Let me know if you think that level will hold for Meta. But yeah, we are now covering the Meta earnings stream, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Again, market's flying up, just broke highs up to 402.20s right now, 402.20s. Meta is over 170s, kind of following the market up to a certain extent. And yeah, let me know what you guys think here. It should be fun. We'll see what we get, but it should be fun. But yeah, so 75 basis point rate increase, 75 basis point rate increase. And again, let me know if you're bullish or bearish on this. Hey, what's up, boss? And yeah, we'll see what we get for Meta earnings here. The Meta earnings are going to be released at 4 p.m. or sometime after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What time is the actual earnings call for Meta? Let me check to be sure. But again, we're going to be covering that also here, guys. So let me figure out how to fix this. Yeah, it's a little bit too large. We'll exit out of that too. Pull this up. Go into details. Somebody's probably going to answer me already. Oh, wait, there it is. Meta. It looks like the earnings call is at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so, again, we're going to be covering that live here as we speak. Market is ramping up, though, guys. Look at the SPY, up to 402.20s right now, 402.20s. Bullish or bearish on Meta today leading into the earnings report? And, yeah, let me know. We're going to be reacting to it live. We also have Qcom earnings coming out today. Qcom. You got any cold in the fridge? Nah, man. Hey, man, how are you? I know you can't say what the market will do, but how do you think the market will react tomorrow after the Fed meeting today? I don't know. We got the GDP numbers dropping tomorrow as well. So the GDP numbers are coming out tomorrow. And so that's going to influence markets also. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think considering the extent of the basis point increase, I think we might be a little bit extended on the upside now. And so to be completely honest, I'm as much as an optimist as I am, I think this is an overreaction. Yeah, 75 basis points wasn't more than expected. It was on par with expectations. It wasn't higher than before because the last time was 75 BP, and today they raised it 75 BP. And so it kind of neutral, leveling out, hopefully. And I want to remain cautiously optimistic, but I also think that I don't know if we're going to hold these gains. Let me know what you guys think. It just seems a little bit of a big reaction here, considering everything that was said and done in the current state of the economy. But again, I'm all for it. I hope the market does well. I don't want the market to do bad. It's not like I'm holding puts or anything like that. Not yet, at least. And yeah, we'll see what we get, guys. We'll see what we get. Let me know what you guys think. Again, we're going to do a poll here. Bullish or bearish on Meta earnings. Bull or bear, let me know. Vote on the poll. We're also going to do a Twitter poll as we do. There's the poll right now. And yeah, it'll be an interesting time. We'll see what we get. Quarter two earnings for Meta. SPY's pull it back a little bit. Went up to almost the 403s. Now back to 402.40s. Meta is currently sitting at 170.50. So it looks really good. Market's very strong right now. Tomorrow we got GDP numbers dropping. We also have Apple and Amazon earnings tomorrow evening as well. So we got a lot of stuff happening in the market fundamentally. And it should be an interesting time for sure. So how you guys doing? Green or red today? Let me know. Meta should be neutral. Ads still making the money. Everything else not so much. Yeah, I think Meta is just really extended over the last few earnings releases, plus the general state of the market and economy over the last 6 months or so. I think it's pretty down. And they do own Instagram, and Instagram's still pretty big. At the same time, though, the question is, what does Meta's long-term future look like? And I really don't know there. That's something that's a little bit more up in the air, in my opinion, at least. Looking at the poll, we got 15 votes so far, bullish or bearish on Meta earnings. 33% said bullish, 69% said bearish. And so mostly bears looking at the poll currently. And yeah, we'll see what we get. We're going to do a poll right now as well. Do you think Meta is oversold heading into their earnings report. That's a good question. Yes or no? We're gonna only make this poll what, like an hour? Short-term poll. Do you think Meta is oversold heading into the earnings report? Let me know. And again, I'll post this poll here. Vote on this poll as well if you have the time to. Oops, I'm going to delete this poll really quickly. I actually just did the wrong thing. Posted the wrong stream link here. So let me delete that real quick and post it again. Yeah, we should have some music going here. Give me 1 second. We should have some music going. Let me fix this poll. There we go. We'll make it a 30-minute poll, actually. That's probably the most reasonable thing since the earnings report drops in 30 minutes. And again, if you want to vote on this poll, we appreciate it. Let's get some music going here, waiting for these numbers to come out. Again, 75 basis point rate increase for Meta. SPY's starting to move up closer to those highs as well. It's at 4.260s. Just keep going down. I'm going to go all the way back to some old songs here if we can. Go way back. Let me know if you can hear the music. You should be able to. I think you can. Let me make sure. We're streaming here. There it is. All right, yeah, you should be able to hear the music. Yeah, vote on the Twitter poll right there. The results are going to be bad. TikTok, yep. You just got to sign up for a broker that lets you trade the U.S. stock market, doctor. Where's the SPY resistance? Oof. I think we got to go longer term here. Let's look at a 180-day chart. I think the next resistance level is going to be right around 407. We got a few double bottoms there. If we extend this to the left here, you can see multiple kind of pivot points here around that 307 level or that 407 level. 410 is obviously a psychological level as well. That might be a little bit better. So we got 410 above us. Underneath those levels, you know, we got maybe 405 as like a psychological level right here that the market might react to. And so I'm just kind of going by psychological and confirmation. But yeah, SPY push it up at 4.260s right now. Meta pulling back some to the 170 area, 170. And again, the Meta results are going to be out in about 50 or in about 25 minutes or so. Yeah, and we asked people, do you think Meta is oversold heading into their earnings report? 100% said no so far. I don't know how many votes we really got there yet. Let me see. Okay, we got a little bit more. So 71% of you are saying no, it's not oversold heading into the earnings report. About 28.5% said yes. I'm in India and I want to trade foreign stocks. How can I? Well, I mean, you got to sign up for a brokerage that allows you to trade U.S. stocks, and you know, there's a lot of them. I think Webull maybe does Webull allow people outside the U.S. to trade on it? I know India has different laws regarding finance, though, and so I'm not sure which ones are going to allow you to trade. Chat, help me out if you can. Help my man Doctor out, and let's figure out how he can trade. Yeah, 3 billion active users. Yeah, just such big user base. It'll be fun to watch. SPY pulling back. We're at 402s right now. 402s. We appreciate all the subs and all the growth here we've gotten over the last few days. Certainly appreciate it. All right, guys. SPY down to 402s. Let's see if it holds 402 with Meta. If we're looking at short-term support, you know, I got to look at this level here, right around 169.25 or so. If we zoom out a little bit more, you know, we got some highs right around 168 right there. So looking at those two levels, 171 seems to be a support or a resistance area as well, short term. And so we're looking at those three support or resistance areas. And again, of course, we have no idea what it's going to do. It might hold, it might not. No idea what it's going to do on that front. Teladoc reporting also. Yeah, that one's interesting. We'll see. Doctor, you could try Webull. I don't know if Webull allows you over there, but you could try. I got a Webull link if you want it. I think you get some free stocks for opening up an account on Webull too if you don't have it. Let me try. Hold on, there it is. I think you get free stocks for opening up an account, but I'm not 100% sure. There you go. Do you think recession is already realized or not fully and will dump tomorrow? I think we might correct tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to dump, but I think this is a little bit of an overreaction in terms of the stock markets, you know, at least index's reaction to the Fed decision. You know, while it wasn't higher than expected, 75 basis points is still not low, and I think this is a little bit of an overreaction to it. I think we might correct back down some leading in tomorrow, but maybe I'm wrong. Again, let me know what you guys think. Had stocks. So isn't that a microchip ETF? SLXL. I'm trying to remember what that is. Yeah, it's semiconductors. Okay, yeah, it's a semiconductor ETF. Market bouncing at 402s. We do have this level here that the market is bouncing off of short term. Waiting for a pullback to buy more. Hey, good luck, Daniel. Spot of 500. Hey, we'll see. I don't think it's going to hit that anytime soon. Again, we also have Qcom dropping their numbers today. Qcom, QCOM. It's a big company. It's kind of reacting to the broader stock market as well with the Fed decision and the market's reaction to it. And so Qcom now up to 154.40s. Again, got about 22 minutes or so, 22 minutes until this happens. All right, guys. So yeah, so Qcom up to 154s here. We do have the SPY. SPY's at 402s, so we're watching that also. Meta's starting to dip. It's at 169.20s right now. Starting to dip at 169.20s. Bought November 170. Strike calls for Meta today. Good gamble. I like it. I like it. I think it'll probably be, in my opinion, again, I might just be flat out wrong and maybe Meta just crashes for all I know. But I like that. I think 170 is a good option. Strike price, I think it'll probably be above that by then. But again, I guess it depends on the broader market here. But I think Meta's kind of extended on the downside, and so I don't hate that strike price. I think 170 is reasonable considering where we currently are and considering how extended Meta is on the downside. But as always, I really have no idea what it's going to do. So much bad news. Market's still rolling here, still ramping up big. So hey, green is good, I guess, right? Thank you for the feedback. No stress. Like I said, I really don't know what's going to happen, brother. So, you know, I'm just speculating, guessing as we always do here. But I like it. You know, good luck. Not an investment professional, not liable if you lose. Don't sue me, you know, but I don't mind it. SPY up to 402s. Yeah. Got to protect myself, you know. You know how it goes. All right, guys. Oh, wait a minute. Meta likes 4 p.m. So the crash occurs under the covers after hours. Hey, what's up, Israel? What's up, dude? All right, guys. So market bouncing at 402. Meta bouncing right around that low we drew here, and so we'll see if it continues. Y'all join our Discord here, guys. Join our Discord. If you haven't already, join our Discord. I appreciate you guys. Join our Discord. It's completely free. We don't charge a penny for anything. I'd appreciate it if you guys could join that. And yeah, let's keep growing. Also, guys, go sub to Beginner Crypto here if you haven't already. We have a crypto channel that we do shows on, a few times a week. And so if you haven't yet, join the crypto channel. There's the link for that also. Guys, check it out. Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, the real question I think a lot of people are going to have today is the market overextended on the upside considering the 75 basis point rate hike decision? Are we now extended on this upside? Do we hold these gains heading into tomorrow and heading into next week? Is the real question I think we should all be asking, here is, do we hold these gains, guys? Are we going to hold these gains? Again, that's the question. Do you think Meta is oversold heading into the earnings report today? Pretty split on that issue. About 57% say no, 43% said yes. All right, guys. So market bounced it up. SPY back up to 402.50s here. Again, we got about 17 minutes before this earnings report comes out, and we're going to be covering it completely live on stream as we do. Again, are we extended here? That's the real question. Real question. Does the stock market hold the gains it's made over the last hour? Let me know. Hit the like button as well, team. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. I'm back. What's up, Sid? I think public generally feels the rate hikes are nearing an end and the Fed is stuck to all the proposed hikes so far, therefore feeling positive. Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, somebody asked me in the last stream and during the FOMC meeting stream, and I told them the truth, how I genuinely feel. I'm remaining cautiously optimistic because, I think there's a few good signs in this. Number one is that they didn't increase it more than 75 basis points. And so I think if they raised it by 75 last time and then 100 this time and then 125 next time, I think that's a very bearish sign. And so considering the fact that they stabilized and they only raised it 75 basis points, while that might sound crazy to a lot of people because it's still a 75 basis point increase, I think that might be signaling that it's stabilizing. And at least I'm hoping that's the case. Again, I might just be wildly wrong. And so hopefully, the raising rates start to do what they're supposed to do, which is lower inflation. And so if it's discouraging spending enough, hopefully prices start to drop and we get what they're ultimately for, which is to discourage spending and boost inflation. And so, maybe it might be a good sign. Hopefully it's stabilizing. And again, I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic. But again, who knows, man? Maybe the market just keeps dumping. The realist in me thinks the market might just drop and break lows more, but who knows? Yeah. All right, so we're at 402s right now. Meta and the market pulling back to some support levels. SPY has one right around 402, and Meta is right around 169 or so, which is another support level here. Anita says, I think Facebook will take another big hit. We'll see. Let's see. I don't think Facebook's going to have good earnings, so after hours maybe more bearish. Yeah, we'll see how the market responds to Meta. We also have Qcom earnings. So we have Meta and Qcom earnings both getting released. The Meta earnings or the Qcom earnings are both going to be out in about 14 minutes. And so we got both of those getting released today. and that's going to impact markets. Meta breaking under 169, so Meta just broke under a pretty, not a huge support level. It's only a short-term support level, but it was a support level, so Meta just broke underneath that. We have the SPY still holding over 402s. So the Fed meeting came out and said that they're going to raise rates by 75 basis points. JP also said that he does not think that we're currently in a recession. And the market's reacting positively for a few reasons. Number one was, again, the recession talk. Number two is that, on par with expectations is usually good. And with that, I think people are going to remain cautiously optimistic that inflation is going to start to get curbed by them raising rates, as is the goal of it. And again, we'll see if it happens. Yeah, Apple, Amazon tomorrow. Yeah, Qcom and Meta earnings are going to be in a few minutes. So it's got some big numbers here. It should be fun to go over today. Bro, so many scams. I have to change this to where any stream I post, I'm just going to disable comments because so many scammers in the comments talking to themselves, bots talking to themselves, all that ridiculous stuff. In fact, let me disable comments right now. No reason to keep them up. Probably do it for this one too. So, All right, guys. So Meta break it down under that 169 support level. But there's definitely inflation straitjacket. I mean, that's obvious. Look at home. Look at pricing, generally speaking. On everything, gas, especially energy, is probably the one that's the most affected by it. But prices are just absurdly high. And so I'm not saying there's not inflation. What I'm saying, though, is that them not increasing the basis point rate hike consecutively back-to-back in FOMC meetings might be a optimistic sign. Again, maybe. Again, I really don't know. But I'm hoping it is. Again, I tend to want the market to do well. I don't want the market to drop. And so with that, I hope it's signaling stabilization in terms of inflation. And hopefully we're going to start to see some lower prices. But again, speculative, of course, and nobody really knows. The Fed meeting across Canada is every 6 weeks. And so the schedule of the Fed meetings goes like this. Every 6 weeks on Wednesday at 2 p.m., we get the Fed meeting report. We get the Fed rate hike decision. So every 6 weeks, the Fed meets to determine whether they want to raise or lowest interest rates. And they do what's called the FOMC meeting at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays every 6 weeks. At 2:30, Jerome Powell does a conference explaining, all the different things from that Fed rate hike. And then a few weeks after that, we have what's called the Fed Minutes Report, which is just a detailed explanation report and document report PDF file that explains why they chose to make those initial decisions. A little bit more in-depth explanation on why they chose to make those decisions. And that's called the Fed Minutes Report. And so every 6 weeks, we got the Fed meeting, press conference, and then weeks after that, we get the Fed Minutes PDF report with a little bit more thorough explanation on why they chose to make that decision. All right, guys, we got 10 minutes, guys, 10 minutes before the Meta earnings here. And again, let me know if you're bullish or bearish. Vote on the poll we got going on right now. 110 votes so far. 45% are bullish, 55% are bearish. Yeah, no stress across Canada. All good, man. And then tomorrow we got GDP numbers coming out. So, yeah. So does the market hold these gains here? We're getting some pullbacks pre-earnings report. We got 9 minutes, and Meta's down to 168.20s. We got the SPY down to 401.70s. And then again, we're also going to be watching Qcom as well. Yeah, so stocks with narrow misses have been going up, MC. Yeah, for sure, man. We had Google and Microsoft both posted mixed results yesterday, and they ripped up from it. Mostly Google went up on positive ad revenue and good ad revenue expectations, but Microsoft also had mixed results as well. I believe both of them had an earnings EPS beat but miss on sales, and so both of those went up from that. But then we've had a lot of earnings lately, like that missed completely. Like a few of them just missed on both metrics, but still went up on guidance. And so, you know, we've been having positive reactions to earnings reports, a little bit more bullish reactions, at least lately, relative to what we've been getting over the last 6 months or so. Lately, over the last 6 months, stocks have been having good earnings and then tanking. And so we're kind of getting the opposite, at least the last few earnings releases that I've been covering. A lot of Meta's rise at the moment. Yeah, it's certainly moving up in sympathy with the broader market right now. It has all day today. It's just been moving up with the broader market. And we'll see if it holds. You know, who knows? But we'll see. But it's currently at 168. Again, 4 out of 5 stocks follow the broader market, and that's definitely what's happening with Meta and Qcom right now. And the big question is, does it hold the gains it's made? How much longer do you think Facebook is around? Facebook, or do you mean Meta as a company? Do you mean just specific Facebook social media? Or do you mean Meta as a broader company? Hey, have a good one, Sid. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well, bro. Hoping Matic. Yeah, I like Matic. All right, guys. Meta at 168. Facebook's website in general. So I'm assuming you mean like the entire Metaverse company, parent company, Meta. Social media Facebook, I think, has a smaller lifespan. I don't know. I think it really depends on my generation of users in terms of like how long Facebook survives. I think Instagram and some of the other companies that Facebook owns are going to have more longevity than Facebook itself. I don't think the younger generation uses Facebook. And so, you know, I think they mostly use Instagram and TikTok and stuff. But, you know. All right, so Meta bouncing up at 168. So Meta getting a nice reaction here. And again, I mean, listen, guys, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I drew this level like 20 minutes ago. This level that we just bounced off of. And so, look, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I drew 3 levels here, 3 levels. And I want you guys to see how closely we have followed the 3 levels that I drew. And it kind of goes to show you how much good charting can play a factor here. I drew this 168 level. I drew this 169 level. And then 171 up there. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm the greatest trader ever, but I'm definitely top 3. You know? Obviously being sarcastic, kind of. But yeah. You'd love to see it bouncing right at that 168 level. Again, confirming that 168 level. So we'll see if it holds. I also think 170s. Yeah, Meta will be interesting. Again, we got about 6 minutes, guys. 6 minutes. As inflation cools, company earnings will boost right after, as many won't lower prices back to pre-levels. Possibly. Are you going to trade Meta live on the mic? It depends, man. I don't know. If I buy Meta, it's not going to be short term. It'll probably be long term. You know, trading earnings releases in general is usually like a very risky kind of random coin flip like trade because you never really know how they're going to react to it. And so there's just a lot of volatility. And while it's exciting, I think it can be a gamble in a lot of ways. And I'm not really about that, you know. Account preservation is one of the best skills you can have in trading. And, you know, you got to be able to just wait. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, at least. No offense to anybody that does. Listen, y'all make y'all's money. But I think I'll probably sit on the sidelines instead of trying to day trade Meta. Meta at 169.12. So again, we got that range that we're watching here. Again, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Whew, guys, I'm tired, man. I've been streaming all day. All day today I've been streaming, man. We started streaming at 5 a.m. this morning. We streamed all the way until about like 10 o'clock market time. We started streaming again for the FOMC meeting, and now we're streaming Meta earnings. After this, man, I'm gonna go take a nap, bro. I'm tired of seeing you degenerates here, man. You know? No, I'm just joking, kind of. $95. Can we do Meta and Ford and Etsy? I thought Ford earnings came out this morning. Oh no, Ford earnings are coming out as well today. Etsy as well. So Ford will impact the automobile market. 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes. And again, we're gonna put this up. Let me add this. Isn't there a better news way to do this here? Let me figure out. I thought there was a better way to do it. We got Meta. We got Qcom. We got Meta, Qcom, Ford, Etsy. And so again, Meta sitting right under that 169 level. I make money most of the time, hoping, but I'm not really making any claims here. I'm not really trying to be a guru. I'm not driving around in Lamborghinis and trying to fake flex on the internet. I'd rather just be a resource and community without making any promises or claims and just not have that type of pressure. Because to be honest, pressure kills your trading results. If you got too much pressure to succeed, you'll almost certainly fail, ironically enough. And so I just try to not make any outrageous claims and just try to trade quietly and safely and make my money. You know what I mean? There's too many nonsense gurus out here selling courses on publicly available content that you can find on Google, you know, for thousands of dollars. And it's just, I'm not really about that. I'd rather just be a resource and community for traders where we can get together and they can hear the truth instead of just fluff, you know. You can hear the call, Rob. You can just put it. You don't have to watch it. You can listen to it. Call's not going to be for another hour anyway, though. I don't know. If I had to, I talked about it yesterday. Minutes come out and the earnings are released. Usually, generally speaking, earnings are released sometime after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is right now, it is 3:58 Eastern Standard Time right now. And so usually earnings are released shortly after the closing bell, which is again in less than 2 minutes, about a minute and a half. And so with that in mind, I don't know exactly when they're going to be released, but we're going to cover it as soon as it happens. You know, it'll almost certainly be released sometime in the next 15 minutes. But again, the exact moment we don't know. A lot of the time, some stocks release their earnings report immediately as soon as the closing bell happens, but others wait 15 minutes, and so it kind of varies. Yeah, if I had to pick a supercar, it'd probably be like an Acura NSX. The old ones are like a twin turbo super, a twin turbo 300Z. If I had to pick like an actual supercar, though, it'd probably be like, I don't know. I'd probably go with like a Ferrari of some sort. Ford GT maybe. You know, those are cool. Yeah, so I mean, the report's going to come out sometime after 4 p.m. It's usually released right at 4. Your Discord pings are freaking out. Sorry, bro. All right, guys. Yeah, y'all hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. We day trade, swing trade, invest. A $30,000 account with $120,000 in buying power every weekday morning for free without selling anything or charging for anything. There's the closing bell. Let's see if the earnings are going to be released. Again, waiting for the numbers to come out. Kind of patiently chilling here, waiting. Hopefully it's soon. Nothing out yet. So again, there's the closing bell. No big reactions in the spot. We're gonna pull up Qcom. I think Qcom having a big reaction. So it looks like Qcom might be out with their numbers here. Let me see. Waiting for Qcom numbers. It looks like Qcom numbers are out already. I don't see anything yet though. There's Meta. Nothing out for Meta yet. Again, waiting on Qcom. Qcom numbers are out. We're just waiting to get them. Conference call for Qcom is going to be at 5:45. So, or no, it's going to be at 4:45. My bad. Again, nothing out for Meta yet. Again, it's going to be sometime in the next 15 minutes. Usually it's going to be pretty soon here, though. Meta still hasn't reacted to anything, so we know we're not late on it yet. Again, waiting for Qcom, which it looks like Qcom's out already. All right, so Qcom put in third quarter EPS of 296, beat the 287 estimate according to Reuters. We'll post this here for Qcom, but we don't see anything for Meta out yet. There's the Qcom numbers. Nothing out for Meta yet. Again, we're just kind of waiting on it. Qualcomm also announced the extension of a patent license agreement with Samsung. Again, nothing for Meta out yet. Getting a little bit of a bump up right now, but nothing really to react to yet for Meta. Qcom fourth quarter sales 11 to 11.8 billion versus 11.87 billion expected. So Qcom actually posted a little bit worse than expected sales. Not incredibly worse, but a little bit worse than expected sales. Again, here is the full Qcom numbers here. Still waiting on Meta's to drop. So a little bit worse than expected sales. So Qcom had mixed results. They posted better than expected EPS, which is profitability, and worse than expected sales. And so you can see Qcom reacting on the left here. Kind of a neutral reaction so far, slightly down. Yeah, Bitcoin's probably going to react positively to that, I guess. Still waiting on Meta to drop here, guys, so just bear with us. We'll cover Meta as soon as it happens, but nothing yet. What about Ford? Is Ford out yet? Don't see anything for Ford. Yeah, there's Qcom though. Ford up right now. Their numbers out. I don't see anything for Ford. Let me get out of this here. All right, so Ford hasn't done anything yet. Ford, I don't see released anything yet. If y'all see Ford, let me know. But nothing for Meta quite yet. Still sideways price action so far in after hours. Still waiting for the Meta earnings to drop, which should be any moment now. Again, we're going to stream the full earnings call as well. All right, there goes Meta pushing up to 169.50s here, but nothing still yet. Just sideways action. Ford is up. I don't see any actual earnings yet. Looks like Ford is just moving up on the interest rate decision. So yeah, we'll continue to wait for those two. There's Qcom. Again, Qcom pulling back down some now, down to 150s. Meta still sideways. Qcom posted mixed results. Etsy? Yeah, we can check Etsy. I got you. Hold on. Look like Etsy's out either. Yeah, nothing for Etsy either. So still waiting. No Meta release yet, so we're still waiting for Meta sideways. Same thing with Etsy. Qcom did release their numbers. They posted mixed results, better than expected EPS, worse than expected sales. And so profitability was better than expected, but sales were down relative to expectations. I believe it was only a slight downward move, though, for Qcom. Yeah, Qcom fourth quarter sales pretty close to expectations. Only a slight miss there. All right, there's Metaverse dropping here. So it looks like Meta earnings are out. Give me a second. We'll cover them. Waiting for the Meta numbers to drop. All right, so the Meta numbers are out. I'm lagging on Benzinga. Let me check. There we go. All right, so Meta did drop their results here. Let's cover them. I hate these releases. So Meta posted a daily active people of 2.88 billion. Share repurchase of 5.8 billion. Outlook is really what I'm looking for here. They expect third quarter 2022 total revenue to be in the range of 26 to 28.5 billion. Meta did drop these numbers here. We're going to post this here as well. Here's the Metaverse numbers. They are reacting negatively to it. And so here's the Meta numbers. They posted second quarter EPS of 246, missed the 261 estimate. So a sizable miss in terms of profitability. Sales of 28.82 billion, missed the 28.97 billion estimate. And so a miss on both sides for Meta. Meta missed on both metrics, both sales and EPS. So they came in less profitable than expected with 246 per share. What they showed with 261 expected. Sales of 28.82 billion, missed the 28.97 billion estimate. And so, decent misses on both metrics for Meta here. And again, you can see Meta tanking now down to 163s here. Qcom reacting to it in a little bit on sympathy, dropping down pretty sizably here. So yeah, Meta posting bad results. Definitely not what they wanted. They did post their daily active users is up about 3% to 1.97 billion for Meta. But yeah, definitely bad results here for Meta, worse than expected. And yeah, Meta is down. We're going to put the full metrics here. So you guys can kind of see what's going down with Meta. We're going to put the full metrics scrolling at the bottom of the screen, kind of all the different metrics that they follow in terms of earnings. But again, initially they did miss on both fronts. They missed on both EPS and sales. They came in less profitable than expected. Total revenue was 26 billion to 28.5 billion versus 30 billion expected. And so, yeah, we're dropping these numbers right now in chat. You'll see them in a second. They do have some Meta CFO. David Weiner is going to take on a role as Chief Strategy Officer. Susan Lee is going to become CFO. They said that the platform expects fiscal year 22 total expenses to be $85 to $88 billion for Meta. Yeah, so those are some big numbers, man. They're. I can't imagine this is good for Meta, to be honest. Man, look at this number here. They expect total expenses for the fiscal year of 22 to be $85 to $88 billion. Wow. And so again, we're gonna put this as a scroller on the bottom of the screen here, so you guys can see it. But yeah, that's not good. And then, yeah, wow, just big miss here in terms of Meta, big miss. All right, we're gonna post these full numbers here again, guys. You're gonna be able to see these full numbers. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen, we have all the metrics now scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We got EPS at 246 versus 261 estimate. Sales of 28.82 billion, missed the 28.97 billion estimate. They reported second quarter Facebook daily active users came in at 1.97 billion. It's up 3% year over year. They see the third quarter 2022 total revenue coming in at 26 to 28.5 billion versus 30.52 billion expected. They said that they expect the fiscal year 22 total expenses to be 85 to 88 billion dollars. The CFO, David Weiner, is going to take on a role as the CSO, the Chief Strategy Officer, and Susan Lee is going to become the CFO. And so that's all the metrics here for Meta. Just brutal results here, brutal results. Huge drop. Are you buying this dip, I guess is the question, guys. Are you buying this dip? Let me know. But yeah, big drop here for Meta. Again, they're at 161.20s right now. So big drop all the way down to the previous closing price. So this has basically caused Meta to come all the way back down. Qcom following it down some as well. And Qcom posted mixed results also. So it wasn't terrible for Qcom. If we look at like the SPY itself, the SPY is reeling from this. Again, as I said before the close, I didn't know if this market was going to hold these gains here. But yeah, you can see the SPY all the way down to 430. 400.3. Metaverse bouncing back a little bit. It's at 162s here, but yeah, are you buying the dip here? I guess is the question. And yeah, we'll see. But that ain't good, man. That is not good for Meta. And yeah, we'll see what we get. Huge drop. And so yeah, we'll see. Oh, back up to 163s here. You can see, this previous closing price at 159.15. So we came all the way back down to this 159.15 level. We're bouncing back up to 163s here also. So yeah, buy the dip. Let me know here. We're going to do a poll right now. We're going to end this poll, bullish or bearish on Meta earnings. So far on these, we had 58% say they were bearish, 41% say they were bullish. I guess the real question is, are you buying this Meta earnings dip? Yes or no? Let me know. I'm not telling you should. This is Think or Swim, Richard. This is TOS, Think or Swim. Yeah, Teladoc also had numbers, TDOC. Huge drop for them as well. Let's look at the Teladoc numbers. lagging a little bit here. All right, so yeah, Teladoc posted second quarter EPS of $19.22 loss per share, down from 86 cents. Whoa, Teladoc posted a huge loss. Wow, man. Teladoc's second quarter EPS, which is profitability, came in at almost $20 loss per share, a $20 loss per share, down from 86 cents loss per share for Teladoc. Sales beat estimates, but a huge drop for Teladoc. That is a ridiculous drop for TDOC here. You can see, and I'm talking about a huge drop in terms of EPS, not really the stock itself. The stock has reacted pretty negatively to this as well, but understandably so. They posted second quarter EPS of minus $19.22, which is down from only 86-cent loss. So just huge drop in terms of TDOC. Ridiculous drop here. And again, let me know what you guys think, but that is a huge drop. Meta's starting to bounce back a little bit here. And again, we asked people, are you buying this dip? 116 votes in the last minute. We got 33% saying yes, 67% saying no. Again, we're going to put it into sub-only mode, guys. Again, our content's completely free. We drop all of this stuff completely free on the stream every day. And so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We are going to put it in the sub-only mode. And so help support free trading content. Help beat the gurus who are charging thousands for publicly available content. Everything we put out there is free. So we are going to put it in sub-only mode. And so listen, any subs of any time linked, you can sub right now and still chat. So support the channel. Hit the sub button, guys. There's the link. And yeah, we appreciate the support, guys. But man, huge miss in terms of TDOC. That's the biggest miss I think I've ever seen in terms of expectations relative to reality here. But just a massive drop for TDOC in terms of profitability. They actually beat in sales, though. Again, Qcom, what did Ford post? So Ford is, one of the earnings this evening that's actually doing okay. And we're going to stream the full earnings call as well, just to clarify. So we're going to stream the entire earnings call for Meta also. So Ford posted an earnings beat. So Ford posted a 68-cent per share beat relative to the 40-cent per share estimate. So earnings beat in terms of second quarter EPS for Ford. Sales of $40.2 billion beat the $34.32 billion estimates. They also affirmed their fiscal year 22 guidance. They raised their quarterly dividend from 10 cents to 15 cents a share for Ford. And so I do kind of like that. What do you guys think about Ford here? So Ford posted beats on all these expectation numbers. Thank you, DK. We appreciate it. Thank you. Etsy numbers, I got you. Hold on one second. Let me show you Etsy's. All right, so Etsy put in an earnings beat as well. They posted GAAP EPS of 51-cent per share profit, which beat the previous expectation by about 19 cents. Revenue of $584.14 million beat the 28.29. Beat by 28.29. Okay. So, yeah. So Etsy saw third quarter sales of 540 to 575 versus 570. So Etsy beat on both fronts as well, on both metrics. So Etsy did good. They posted better than expected results. Qcom did bad, missed on both fronts. Or I think Qcom was mixed results. Ford did better than expected on both metrics. And then obviously Meta is just not doing that great. But Meta, honestly, considering, misses on both fronts for Meta, it's kind of bouncing back up a little bit. It's at 165. And if you want to see everything that kind of happened with Meta, just look at the bottom of the screen. The scroller on the bottom of the screen gives you all the metrics. If you want to know kind of what essentially went on with Facebook and Meta right now. But yeah, we appreciate the support, DK. Thank you. But yeah, with Teladoc, man, and honestly, understandably so, like Teladoc was kind of, a unique and different thing, but I think everybody's kind of offering that now. I know Amazon's getting into the virtual doctor niche, and so Amazon's entering that niche if they're not already in it as well. Amazon's not TDOC, right? That's not Amazon, huh? I think they're different. Okay, so Teladoc net loss per share of $19.22, primarily driven by non-cash goodwill impairment charge of $3 billion or 18.78 per share. Okay, so that was why. Got you. Yeah, man, because that's just one of the biggest misses I've seen. If GDP prints minus 1% plus tomorrow, Meta will plummet. Yeah, I mean, Meta's starting to bounce back up a little bit. It's kind of dragging the market back up, too. Let's see if Qcom fights its way back as well. Qcom reacting less to this. Teladoc, considering the huge size of their miss, it's not unexpected to see them drop pretty massively here. And then, of course, we got the SPY. at 400. Also, guys, y'all do me a favor. Go sub to our crypto channel, youtube.com/beginnercrypto. We cover free crypto content there as well. We post a lot of free stuff there. So if you could all go subscribe here, I certainly appreciate it. Definitely help support the channel and our free content that we drop regularly. And so if you haven't already, go sub to BT Crypto. I'll pin it to the top of the page so you guys can see it. But yeah, SPY back up to over 400s here. So bouncing right off of that $400 level on the SPY. Meta, you know, considering the miss on both metrics, it's kind of bouncing back some here. Hey, thanks, Spac. What's up, Spac? Hope you're doing well, bro. Yeah, man, just a huge miss. Again, we're going to be covering the earnings call in about 43 minutes or so, 43 minutes. So stick around. Meta is now up to 165s. So let's see if it holds. I think 165, just in terms of psychological levels, makes sense to pay attention to. 165 is right here. Hasn't really been a historical support or resistance area. We do have this 164 level, which was the pre-market high today. So maybe that'll be a support hold. So let's watch that at 164. But we got the VWAP up there at about 167 also. So, Hey, thank you, Jose. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you, Legend. I appreciate you as well, brother. Yeah, looks like a lot of people did buy the dip, and again, understandably so, man. Again, y'all hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But yeah, understandably so. I mean, again, Meta's just so beat up over the last few days. And Meta still has a huge base of users, and so I think if there's a silver lining there, I think that's it. Service now is dropping hard, but I can't see numbers yet. I got you, man. Let me just post it to the chat here. Hold on one second, guys. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I stopped my scroller just for you, bro, since you're saying you're having service problems. Octavius, here you go, bro. Did Best Buy drop numbers too? I don't really follow Best Buy stock a ton. What is Best Buy? BB? And best is best? What is Best Buy? Okay. BBY. Okay. So yeah, Best Buy dropped numbers, but it's one of those, it's such a niche earnings report that nobody really covers it that much. In terms of outlook, Best Buy second quarter fiscal year 23 comparable sales to decline approximately 13%. I think that's probably weighing on it. Meta bouncing at 165s. Hey, nice hopping. Or hoping. I guess hopping would be with 2 P's, but yeah. The Meta call is at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, David. So it's in about 40 minutes. Yeah, we broadcast live every day. Neural networks. We trade about 120,000 in buying power. We trade a $30,000 account with about 120K in buying power, and we day trade the open every weekday morning. We start at 6:30 market time. So we start at 6:30. We stream until about 10:30, 11 market time, and then we close up shop. And then if there's big earnings, we stream there. But we stream every weekday morning for free right here. So yeah, hit that sub button, guys. Join our Discord as well. You can see SPAC posting our Discord. Best Buy, a good indicator of consumer sentiment. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, Best Buy drops numbers here. They saw third quarter 2021 or 2023 guidance comp sales come in at minus 13%. So yeah, the company expects second quarter fiscal year 23 comparable sales to decline approximately 13%, with revenue approximately 7.5% higher than pre-pan levels in the second quarter of fiscal year 20. Meta bouncing back a little bit, guys. Meta back up to 167s here, 168s. So Meta starting to reel back. Yeah, Meta's coming back here. That's I asked people on the poll here, are you buying this Meta dip? Um, and yeah, it looks good. Looks good. Interesting for sure. Spy coming back some too here. If you look at the Spy, it's at 400. So Spy's still over $400. Meta with the big numbers, big miss, and then bouncing all the way back here. So, pre levels are right around 169.25 or so, is right around the neutral point in terms of pre earnings report for Meta. We're getting over VWAP now too. That 167 VWAP area is kind of an important psychological level as well. And so Meta's kind of fighting back here. It's starting to rebound some. I think a lot of it's baked in. I think Meta has dropped so much over the last 6 months or so that might be a little oversold now. And I think people are buying up this dip because of value, in my opinion. But, let me know if you guys think it'll hold. I don't know if it will hold, but I think short-term value is there. At least it has been. I don't know about it anymore. Meta up or down tomorrow? Opinion? I don't know. I think it depends on where it closes today. I think if it continues to push up and rip up, I think, we might see kind of a neutral reaction to it. But this should be good for crypto, right? Let me look at Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin doing in the wake of all of this? I think is the real question here regarding like cryptocurrency movement. Yeah, so Bitcoin popping up. Bitcoin's about neutral right now, but Bitcoin's been moving up nicely since the FOMC meeting. So Bitcoin is up about 6% today, almost back up to 23,000 here. And Meta still making this push. Meta's about neutral from this earnings announcement. Kind of a weird market, bro. Meta missed on both metrics, but they had some changes in terms of structure. They had second quarter miss, weak third quarter outlook. They did say that their CFO, Dave Warner, is going to take on a role as a CSO, Chief Strategy Officer, and that Susan Lee is going to become the CFO. GAAP EPS was 246, missed by 9 cents. Revenue of 28.82 billion, missed by 130 mil. Again, I think there's some good and bad things. They're expecting their fiscal year 22 expenses to be 85 to 88 million, 85 to 88 billion. That seems excessive. No, I mean, what do you guys think about that? Potential, they expect their fiscal year 22 total expenses to be 85 to 88 billion. Seems like a lot, but Meta doesn't care, man. It's pushing back up. It's about neutral from this earnings release, and the SPY's actually moving back up to almost 401 with it. So yeah, it's moving. Yeah, what's ETH doing? ETH is back up 7.5%. ETH is back over 1,600. So ETH is really the one rolling here, and we are going to cover a lot of this crypto news. Go sub to the crypto channel, guys. Beginner, youtube.com/beginner crypto. We definitely appreciate it. Here's the link if you want to sub to that. Yeah, tomorrow we got GDP numbers also, and so that'll be interesting to see too. Again, we got about 35 minutes before the actual earnings call for Meta, and again, we're going to stream it live here as we do. All right, guys. So Meta pulling back to the VWAP area at 167. I think that's a big kind of milestone level to see if it holds there after this big bounce back from Meta. Again, we're currently at 167.80s here, pulling back to that 167 level. Will it hold, guys? Yeah, we're streaming GDP in the morning. We're gonna talk about all of it, man. Again, we do this every day, so we stream all the big major market catalysts. And again, my main philosophy with this channel is, again, I don't sell anything. I don't claim to be an expert. I don't tell people what to do or anything like that. We just try to keep it free, and we're just trying to be a free resourcing community. Successful trading usually means you got to be safe and not have much pressure to succeed. You got to be able to let the trades come to you. And if I'm claiming to be some super good expert driving around in Lambos and acting like some guru selling courses for thousands of dollars, that creates a lot of pressure, and it's really hard to be successful in that environment. And so what happens is a lot of the people that do that, they end up kind of fudging their numbers and making unrealistic promises, where I would just rather put everything out there and just be like, look, I'm not an expert. We're just a resourcing community. We're just a kind of a team of traders here. And so everything we do is free. And so hit that subscribe button if you want to help support content and movements like that in the trading space. I'm definitely not a beginner, though. I've been trading for over 5 years at this point in time. Like I said, I traded a 30,000, 120K buying power account. So, I mean, we're not really a new trader. I'm not really an expert. I don't like the word expert, but we have some experience. Hey, thank you, Octavius. I appreciate you, man. Ape coin. Yeah, is Ape ripping? Again, Meta is obviously good for the Metaverse. If we look at Ape here, Ape is up 12% today. Yeah, 12%. We do post affiliate links, though, and, you know, we have been sponsored by BitGet in the past. And so BitGet's a platform where you can short crypto, go long on crypto. You can buy Ape coin. You can trade crypto futures and get leveraged buying or trading Ape coin with no PDT rule. And so if you want to check them out, here's the link for that as well. Good way to help support the channel is checking out our affiliate links. Again, of course, I can't guarantee you're going to make money or anything on BitGet, but hey, thank you, Margin. I appreciate you, man. You're the best and nicest day trading YouTuber. Hey, we try. I mean, of course, we make money, though. Don't get it wrong. I mean, we certainly make money with this channel. You know, I wouldn't be sitting here for hours and hours every day if we didn't. And as I've said before, anybody that's claiming to not be in YouTube for the money, and aside from niche situations and very specific people, anybody that's claiming that they're not in this to make money is just lying. Of course, I'm here to make money, but we just give everything away for free and make money on the back end, which I think is the better move anyway. Meta red to green. Yeah, Meta consolidating over VWAP now. You know, currently it's at 167s. Yeah, GDP, gross domestic product. GDP is basically everything circulating. The actual definition of it is measure for the size of an economy. Let's find a good definition. It's the total monetary or market value of all the finished goods and services produced by a country. And so it's basically the amount of money circulating in your country is essentially what it is. And, you know, with that, it's certainly going to have market implications. It's going to affect the market broadly, as does CPI, as does the FOMC Fed rate decision. And it's going to be dropping tomorrow at 8:30. And we're going to be covering it live on stream. So hit the sub button. You'll be able to watch it live as it happens. Hey, what's up, Todd? In the past, I wasted and spent a lot of money and got lost. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it goes, bro. Again, a lot of new traders get started and they just trade way too large, bro. Like if you're a brand new trader, chances that you're going to be successful in day trading short term are next to nothing. And a large majority of traders are going to fail regardless of how long they put into it. And so in the beginning, especially, you need to be trading very, very small if you're day trading or swing trading, really. And then once you put in good numbers and actually show success, then you can scale up your size. But until then, you should be trading small, because if not, you're just going to lose money out of pride. And that's usually not the right move. I mean, it happens to everybody. I did it too when I first got started. But in the end, you can trade small and then slowly learn how to be profitable and then increase your size from that. If you just jump right in with huge sizing and gambling, it's going to be harder for you to really understand the right things. And it's just going to make you lose more money than you really need to. You know, you can get the same things done buying small share sizes as well. And that's something that a lot of new traders miss. Buying the dip. What dip? Well, this dip right here. We made the poll here. And it looks like buying the dip was the right move because we bounced all the way back. We're now under VWAP, though. And I can't say this is a good sign. So we are under VWAP now. This is Thinkorswim TD Ameritrade. Yeah, I mean, we have memberships here, Margin, but you don't actually get anything if you become a member, and we're very open about that. The only thing members get are these coveted emojis that, you know, of me and my wife here, you know what I mean? And so, like, we have members, but becoming a member is just a way to support the channel. Like, we don't actually, all of our content is free, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Like, we don't charge for any of our content. There's no, like, exclusive content that you have to pay for. It's all free. But again, I mean, we make money on the back end with a lot of stuff. So, like we make money, don't get it wrong. But we do so without charging people, which I think is the right move. Like I said, yeah, it did fill the gap for sure. So what number is small? Well, it depends on what you're trading. If you're trading penny stocks, I would say a couple hundred shares or less. If you're trading penny stocks, maybe 100 shares or less is usually the right move. Uh, Stocks can have different ranges. A lot of the people think that they can use a universal share size, but that's not the right move because a $10 stock can have a larger range than a $100 stock, right? So if you use a universal share size, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And I've made that mistake, man. I remember when I first started trading years and years ago, I was on a platform called SureTrader, and the OGs in here might remember SureTrader, but I was on a platform called SureTrader, and I remember I was up like $100 and I was super, super hyped about it. I was really excited about it. And I told myself like, hey, I'm going to take 50 shares of this IPO. It's 50 shares. I might lose like $5 or $10, but I'll still be green on the day. And I bought 50 shares of this IPO. It might have been Roku or something. I can't remember what it was. And I just lost hundreds of dollars in like 30 seconds. And I was just distraught over it. But it taught me a lesson. And the lesson is stocks can have different ranges. And even though a stock can be cheap, it can still have a huge range. And if you don't analyze the range of that stock before buying shares, you're just going to lose a bunch of money a lot of the time. And so in the end, analyze the range and then use the appropriate share size with that. And so, again, a $10 stock can have a larger range than a $100 stock. And so if you buy 100 shares of Tesla, you're going to get yourself in trouble, Yeah, for sure, margin, 100%, man. All right, so yeah, Meta's consolidating now. It's under VWAP. It's at 167s. It is under VWAP though, and again, it's just kind of consolidating over the last 4 or 5 minutes, mostly sideways now. Yeah, good lesson and necessary lesson for sure. And so really, it's just about your risk level. A lot of people use price of stocks and how much buying power you're spending, but none of that really matters. What matters the most is your risk level, right? So if you enter a trade and if your stop loss level, say you enter a trade at $1 and your stop loss level is 90 cents, your risk is 10 cents per share. You buy 100 shares, your risk is $10. You buy 1,000 shares, your risk is $100. And so if you're okay with risking $10 in that trade, buy 100 shares. If you're okay with risking $100 in that trade, buy 1,000 shares. But it needs to be appropriate to what your share size is relative to the risk you're taking in the trade, basically where your stop loss is. And same thing with the reward target as well. But that's something that is a little bit more advanced, but it's an important lesson for new traders. And we have some videos on that, I think. If you guys want the videos, I can find them. But yeah, it's an important thing for traders to understand, especially when it comes to like day trading specifically. Meta tried to pop back over the VWAP. It's at 167s. Can you still make profit and money back with a small account under PDT rule since cannot day trade? Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. Swing trading. Okay, I'm going to say this, and I want you guys to really listen. Okay. Everybody shouldn't be day trading. A lot of people are going to be better suited towards swing trading. And I get it. Day trading is romanticized and everybody's like, ooh, day trading, I want to make money. But a lot of traders are going to make far more money swing trading. And they're just going to be better swing traders. Day trading is incredibly difficult and a large majority of people fail. And if you don't fail, it takes years to be successful. It took me years before I started making money. And so outside of romanticizing day trading, a lot of traders are going to have better value in swing trading or investing. It's going to be easier money to make. It's going to be easier for their accounts as well. And so, you can swing trade. Swing trading requires less technical skill. It still requires technical skill, but less of it. And so it's kind of one of those things where, you can correlate sympathy moves in the market. Like, you can say, hey, the gaming conferences are coming on, and so I'm going to buy video game stocks, and profit in swing trading using correlations between different sectors to get into some trades. And you can use a small account and try to grow it naturally and organically that way without day trading. There's just a lot of ways to make money in the market. And I get it, day trading is romanticized, but for a lot of people, it's just not the right move, when it comes to account size and all that stuff. Meta is at 167. It's still testing VWAP. How do you deal with taxes? Get you a good accountant, man. I'm not going to give any tax advice. That's kind of outside my area. It's kind of liability ridden as well. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut in that and tell you to go ask your CPA. You know. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of extension moves that you can get involved with that you can just roll in money with. You know what I mean? Like you can make a lot of money swing trading, investing. The easiest money really in the market is investing, to be completely honest, in my opinion. You know, Warren Buffett value investing, buying cheap, healthy companies that are extended on the downside and holding for 5 or 10 years is the easiest way to make money. It's the most proven system of making money in the stock market. And so, you know, if I could start over, I'd probably swing trade or invest. All right, guys, we got the earnings call in about 23 minutes. Would you consider crypto more or less risky than penny stocks on average? It depends on what style of trading. Day trading? No, I think day trading penny stocks is probably, you know, incredibly risky. But I've never really day traded crypto like that, so I really can't tell you in that regard. I think that if you're talking about investing, crypto is far better in terms of like profit expectations than penny stocks. I think a large majority of penny stocks fail and they get sensationalized a lot. And so a lot of people with small accounts just get really wrapped up into these penny stocks and they bag hold and they refuse to sell and they sit on these losing companies for years until they get delisted and go to the pink sheets and they just lose all their money, as opposed to crypto, which I think there's a lot of that going on in the crypto market as well. But I think that, you know, with crypto, you can get really lucky and kind of hit with some cryptocurrencies. It's just a newer market. And so with that, there's going to become more organic opportunity, I think, relative to penny stocks. But it is a subjective thing. They're both risky, though. And, you know, most people are going to lose money for sure with them. And again, remember, guys, you want to day trade futures, man. You can day trade futures. You know, futures market. Again, I'll put it this way, and I'm going to lead it into like an affiliate advertisement. Of course, I'm biased in their favor, but like, okay, just to give you an example, the E-mini. Here's the E-mini, right? It does the exact same thing as the SPY. It's literally the same price action. This is the same thing as this, right? You can trade this right side here with no PDT rule. If you're on a margin account, you get instant settlement. You can short, go long with a $2,000 account, $3,000 margin account. Day trade as much as you want. No PDT rule in the futures market. And so a lot of people don't realize, but you can trade futures and get around the PDT. Yeah, we trade the E-mini and the micro a little bit. And again, if y'all want to check out like a funded account program for futures, you can check out Top Step. You can get 20% off if you use my link. I'm certainly biased in their favor, though, because I get a commission if you sign up through me. And so again, it is an affiliate link. But, you know, I think Top Step's good, even if you're new, because it's cheaper. You know, Top Step, it's a funded account program. And so they'll give you a demo. And if you can hit their target on that demo while following their rules and conditions, then they'll fund you between 50 up to over 100K with a 90% profit split. They're regulated by the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and pay out millions every year, fund thousands of traders a year. But again, it's very difficult to get funded. I'm not going to act like it's easy. It's incredibly difficult to get funded. But I do think if you're trying to get involved with the futures market and you want kind of like a taste of it without having to put up thousands yourself and risking thousands in your own accounts, you could try out these funded account programs. Again, they're very difficult to get funded in, of course. But, you know, if you want to try out futures and kind of see what I mean, there's the link in chat. You can get 20% off. Yeah, I trade futures on TD. I trade the E-mini, micro E-mini, but most of the time to be honest, most of the time I just buy the SPY directly. And so, like I said, I have the luxury of having, you know, over 6 figures in buying power, right? I have 6 figures in buying power. And so to be honest, I very rarely trade futures on Thinkorswim. Most of the time I'll just buy the SPY directly or buy the Q directly because I have enough buying power to do so. But for people that might not have as much BP as me, you know, you can trade futures on Thinkorswim as well. Futures trading, the name comes from you're trading the future price of a commodity in a contract. And so you're buying contracts. They go by ticks per share. Each one's different. The E-mini, every tick up or down is $12.50 in profit or loss. And so, like I said, here's the E-mini. And so every tick up or down is $12.50 in profit or losses. And you can, but again, it's the same price action as this. And so you can kind of do both. But again, futures trading, incredibly risky and difficult as well. I'm not trying to act like it's easy, of course, because it's not. And again, day trading, most people are just going to lose money. Yeah, futures is not options. Futures is more like conventional day trading. Like if you buy futures, like look, here's Top Step. I have a Top Step account too. But like it's more so like regular trading, right? And so you can kind of see, hold on. All right, so yeah, like here's Top Step, right? It's basically this. It's just like regular trading. And so, you know, you can buy the market, sell market, buy bid, sell the ask, buy market, sell market, but it goes by contracts. And so every one of these contracts, kind of like cents per share, is $12.50 in profit or losses on the E-mini, which is here. The micro E-mini is $125 per tick. So if you want to take smaller size, but yeah, aside from that, it's just buy market, sell market, just like regular trading. You know, you can buy the bid, sell the ask, all that good stuff. Again, the conference is in about 18 minutes. Yeah, so yeah, you can day trade the futures market. The futures market, there's no PDT restrictions, and so it's what a lot of people go to if they're trying to get around the PDT rule. 8:30, Eric. So the GDP is coming out at 8:30 tomorrow. And yeah, so you know, if you go to a place like BitGet, you can trade crypto futures. If you go to a place like Top Step, you can try to get funded to trade, you know, commodity futures, which are like gas, oil. The E-mini and the micro E-mini, though, are pegged to the price of the SPY. And so it's a way you can kind of trade the SPY directly or indirectly in the futures market with no PDT rule. It's what a lot of people do to get around it. It's just cheaper. Yeah, there's no PDT rule in crypto as well. If you look in the description, you can see like a BitGet link. And so, you know, you can trade crypto futures there as well with no PDT rule. There's a lot of ways to get around the PDT rule. Cash account, there's no PDT rule as well, though. Meta's starting to dip down. It's at 166. So we'll see if it holds. But yeah, with a cash account, there's no PDT. So you can day trade and you can day trade on a cash account. You do have the T2 rule, which stands for transaction plus 2 days, though. And so you got to wait 2 days for your funds to settle on a cash account. But if you take your equity and you divide it by 2, and you use only that per day, then you'll be able to day trade way more than 3 times a week. So if you got $5,000, you take $2,500 one day and you trade that, and then you take $2,500 the next, and then you trade that, and then your funds from the first day are settled the next day. And so you can just kind of go $2,500 one day, $2,500 the next, and $2,500, especially if you're trading like penny stocks, is plenty to get into like 4 or 5 trades a day with a cash account. So you'll be able to trade like 20, 30 times a week with a cash account if you do it that way. And that's only with 5K. So that's another way to get around the PDT rule as well. There's a bunch of different ways. So Meta dipping down is at 165s. Honestly, these are starting to hurt my head, man. These headphones are kind of hurting. But yeah, guys, we got 16 minutes. No, I don't really ever trade oil, Todd. I trade mostly the E-mini, the micro. Oil, I just don't follow it. I'm not used to the price action enough to really get involved with it in that way, I think. But yeah, speaking of crypto, ApeCoin is still pumping up. What's Bitcoin at? Bitcoin's still moving up. Yeah, Bitcoin up to 22.8, starting to kind of reel up. ETH over 1,600, trying to break highs again for ETH. So ETH is ramping up too. So Meta has the actual earnings call at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Gucci. So Meta, okay, so the way earnings reports work is at after 4 p.m. if it's an evening release for earnings, after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the actual earnings report comes out. And that's just the report. It's just kind of a document that explains what their numbers were. Generally after that, usually about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour later, they have the full earnings call. And this is when sometimes the CEOs will get on board and talk to people and give everybody the updates for the company. And then they'll do a Q&A. So they'll let analysts ask them questions and then answer them live on the call. The Meta earnings call is going to be in about 14 minutes. And so, Meta's earnings call hasn't started yet. We actually have the numbers in the report. And again, you can see all that here. You can see it underneath here. You can see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen as well. But the actual earnings report for Meta, or the actual earnings call, I'm sorry, is going to be out in 14 minutes. And so it's going to be, sometimes Mark Z will get on and talk to everybody, and then they'll let analysts ask questions regarding the company and the earnings report and all that stuff about the numbers. Oh man, it's lightning out here, bro. I don't know if that's an omen or a bad sign here, but there's lightning over in my spot. Oh man. All right, guys. Let's do this. So Meta bouncing back. It's over 165. Not a terrible reaction for Meta. I mean, it hasn't been such a massive drop like a lot of people would expect from a miss on both fronts. And so it hasn't been a huge drop. Meta earnings call, posturing, inevitable failure, maybe. Yeah, it's kind of just indecision, GA. So it's just kind of neutral reactions, I think, in my opinion. Not doing too bad. But yeah, appreciate the support. We got a lot of really supportive comments, and so I do appreciate you guys. Also, give me a follow on Twitter. We do have a Twitter page where most of the time we're posting polls and updates on news, and so give me a follow on Twitter if you haven't already. We definitely appreciate it. We got a few different kind of platforms where we talk about stuff. So there's our Twitter link. Also, you can sign up to become a member of our email newsletter. So we do send out an email newsletter every day. We didn't post it today, I think, at least this evening, but membership is completely free. So it's not like a paid membership. It's just kind of becoming a member gets you in our email newsletter. So, you can become a member. It's completely free, and, you can join hundreds of people in getting our emails. And so if you want to check that out, here's the link for that also. Yeah, Etsy, man. How did Etsy react? Did Etsy hold or what happened? Didn't Etsy post a beat on both fronts? And yeah, Etsy ripped up over 100 at 107 now. 106 might act as support. Did Teladoc ever rebound back? No, not really. And yeah, there's the membership link right there if you want to become a member. But yeah, TDOC down at 36.40s here. So Teladoc dropped one of the biggest misses in terms of EPS that I've seen. Yeah, Teladoc posted. Hold on, let me check this. I'm going to check a different source for TDOC. All right, so yeah, the adjusted EPS is for Teladoc is only 44 cents per share loss. But yeah, Teladoc posted a second quarter EPS of $19.22 per share loss, which is way down from the 86-cent loss per share year over year. Sales of 592.37 million beat the 583.76 million estimate. So technically mixed results, but a huge miss in terms of second quarter EPS for TDOC. And you can see just a big drop for this one also. Etsy did well, had an earnings beat on both metrics. I think Ford did as well. I think Ford had a beat on both metrics as well. So yeah, Ford posted, let me see what it is. The Ford CEO said that we have not seen a slowdown in the industry. He said that we have protected in the second half for some moderation in pricing. He said that the second quarter 2022 results include a $2.4 billion loss on their Rivian investment. So basically Ford lost $2.5 billion on Rivian. They did post adjusted EPS that beat expectations and revenue that beat expectations for Ford also. Meta dipping down to 64. Yeah, we trade the E-mini and the micro E-mini. most of the time I'm buying the SPY directly though. Don't know, but like we'll occasionally do it. Hey, thank you, Octavius. I appreciate that, man. He said, really great channel. I'll be tuning in for all the big streams. Love the interactivity, suggesting you to some friends as well. Hey, thank you, man. We appreciate that. Yeah, day trader. It's kind of just choppy. Yeah, that's right. If you appreciate the streams, hit that like button, guys. Run that like button. Yeah, T-Mobile missed a lot of earnings releases have been misses, but the stocks have been moving up. I guess the common logic for a lot of these is that we're already priced in, but again, I mean, missing on both fronts and then going up doesn't really make sense. At the same time, though, a lot of the time the stock market, like the stocks are reacting ahead of earnings, and so it's kind of buy the rumor, sell the news type of situation a lot of the time. But I still don't know if some of it's justifiable. We'll see. I mean, I think Meta might be because it's just so extended on the downside over the last 6 months, especially after that earnings report a few ago. But at the same time, we'll see if it holds. I tend to be bullish at these current prices for Meta long term though, but short term, who knows what's going to happen. Day trader says I'm a terrible day trader. Honestly, bro, the last 2 weeks have been rough. Like I've slowed down my size. The last 2 weeks have been incredibly choppy in the markets. And so if you're again, part of successful day trading is waiting. I think there's actually a quote that says that. I think it goes something like money's not made in trading, money is made in the waiting. And it's super true, and so not all markets are going to be favorable. And part of it is just waiting for volatile times. And if you try to trade chop, you'll get chopped out. All right, so ETH still holding over 1600s. Yeah, last 2 or 3 weeks have just been sideways action, man. How long have you been trading? About 5 years, I would say. About 5 years, give or take. Whenever I am super FOMO. And I know the inevitable question that's going to come now is, why is your channel called Beginner Trading? Number one, I started it when I was a beginner. But number two is we're just a resource and community for trading. So it's like we're here to help new traders for free without charging them. And so, Hey, what's up, Daniel? Good evening. I'm so used to saying good morning. But yeah, so the earnings call is going to start in about 6 minutes, guys. We are correcting a little bit from this rebound on Meta. So we are correcting some, and we'll see if we hold. All right, guys, we're at 163 for Meta. Let's see if we bounce there. We put in a bottom on these last few candles. We'll see if we bounce there. We got 6 minutes, guys. Thoughts on Twitter? Oof, Twitter, I don't know. I've recently started using Twitter more over the last few months. And so I think Twitter social media platform is good. But I think the Elon thing kind of hurt them. I mean, they're still kind of green though. They're back up to almost $40 a share, and so I'm kind of neutral with Twitter. I'm not gonna really make any claims for Twitter. I think Twitter will be fine, shortish term, like over the next 5 years. I think they'll be fine, but what price they stabilize at, I really don't know. Too much nuance there for me to really try to make a guess on that front. I think the Elon thing was bad for them. But I think the platform's fine, and I still use Twitter, so I don't know. I'm kind of neutral on it. Why Meta is not crashing, missed on everything? Well, the common logic is that we're already priced in. I'm not saying that's why. I'm not saying that's my argument, but I think for Meta, why is it not crashing? I think it dropped already sizably. This is not a small drop, but we'll see if it holds. All right, guys. Full earnings call is going to happen in about 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes. Consolidating a little bit at 163 here. There's Ford. What's the SPY doing now? SPY at 400. So I think obviously $400 is a big level for the SPY. And yeah, we'll see if we hold. We're at 400.67 right now. How much longer do you see Twitter around for? Oof. It's a tough question, man. I think Twitter's fine long term. You know, I don't think it's bad. Again, I don't trust it completely, but I don't think it's bad long term. You know, I think that it's still widely used enough and useful enough, especially in finance space and a lot of other places, to where I like Twitter. But again, where it's going to be, what price it stabilizes at, I'm not sure. What do you think about AMC, and what do you think about the market and how it's going to react tomorrow? I think the market might have had a little bit of an overreaction to the Fed 75 basis points decision. And so I don't know if it's going to hold. I'm a little skeptical about it holding, but of course, you know, the market's been a little crazy anyway, so I really don't know. But I'm skeptical about whether the market's going to hold the gains it made since the earnings announcement. And so we're going to watch it and see what happens. And again, we're going to stream again starting tomorrow morning as we do. What do you think about Snap? I'm actually holding Snap. I think Snap's pretty extended on the downside. Obviously, Snap has a monetization problem, but especially when you consider how extended it is on the downside from this latest drop after earnings, I think it's cheap where it's at. Again, I might be wrong, and I'm not an investment professional, and I'm not liable if you lose or buy Snap, and I'm not telling you to do anything. I have no idea. But I think relative to where it was before the earnings release, I think Snap's cheap right here at $10, 9 something. And I'm actually holding it right now just to, you know, for transparency purposes. All right, guys. You guys ready? Meta earnings call in about a minute. 1 minute. All right, we're at 163.90s for Meta. Earnings call should be starting pretty soon now, and sometime in the next minute. Yeah, PGY, huge short squeeze. ETH is right at 1,600 bucks. Again, before we go into this call, y'all give me a subscribe on Beginner Crypto. Beginner Crypto link. Earnings call should be starting anytime now. AMC, I don't know. AMC, I think it's cheap where it's at, but I don't know how long it's going to be until we see some bounces. And I also think that there's too much unrealistic expectations for it. Anyways, here's the earnings call for Meta. 20 seconds. All right, guys, waiting for the earnings call to start for Meta. There's the closing bell. Yeah, let me check it. Hold on 1 second. Let me mute the audio coming in real quick. I'm also going to stop the music and get ready to play the audio. All right, let me check to make sure. I'll give you guys an update as soon as it happens. All right, nothing yet. Again, they're usually going to start sometime in the next 30 seconds. So earnings call should be starting pretty soon. Still waiting. Still hasn't started yet. Again, once I start it, though, guys, I don't want to interrupt the call, but once I start the call, let me know if you can hear it correctly. So just announce whether you can hear it correctly in chat. And of course, you can't hear anything now because the call hasn't started yet, but we're going to start the call right now. Right now, we're going to start the call. Let's see. We're still waiting. Nothing yet. And again, so we're going to do a sound check once the call starts. It should be starting any moment now. We're still waiting. Checking on it. They got some jazz playing here in the weight room. So call has not started yet. Should be any time now. Anytime. And again, let me know if you're bullish or bearish on this earnings call. Do you think Meta is going to end green this week relative to where it was at the start of the week? Again, still no call yet for Meta. Still waiting on the call to actually start. Should be starting anytime now. Waiting. So Meta at 163.35s. Still no call here. And they got some jazz playing in the weight room. 100 bucks on the Mega Millions. Ugh. If I win, I'll share it with you guys. You know. All right, so Meta dipping down at 163.30s pre-earnings call. Bro, where are they at, man? Okay, there it goes. Got you. Here's the call. Can you hear it?
Before we get started, I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that our remarks today will include forward-looking statements. Actual results may differ materially from those contemplated by these forward-looking statements.
Sound check.
Factors that could cause these
this?
results to differ materially are set forth in today's press release and in our quarterly report on Form 10-Q filed with the SEC. Any forward-looking statements that we make on this call are based on assumptions as of today, and we undertake no obligation to update these statements as a result of new information or future events. During this call, we may present both GAAP and non-GAAP financial measures. A reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP measures is included in today's earnings press release. The press release and an accompanying investor presentation are available on our website at investor.fb.com. And now I'd like to turn the call over to Mark.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Our family of apps continues to grow even as we navigate a challenging macro environment. We now reach more than 3.6 billion people monthly across our services. The number of people using Facebook daily continues to grow, including in the US, although we saw an expected decline in monthly actives due to internet blocks related to the war in Ukraine. Engagement trends on Facebook have generally been stronger than we anticipated, and strong Reels growth is continuing to drive engagement across Facebook and Instagram. That said, we seem to have entered an economic downturn that will have a broad impact on the digital advertising business. And it's always hard to predict how deep or how long these cycles will be, but I'd say that the situation seems worse than it did a quarter ago. In this environment, we're focused on making the long-term investments that will position us to be stronger coming out of this downturn, including our work on our discovery engine and Reels, our new ads infrastructure, and the Metaverse. And we're also focused on being rigorous about measuring returns and sizing these investments correctly. Now, on our last call, I discussed that based on the revenue growth we were seeing in 2021, we kicked off a number of multi-year projects to accelerate our business. And I still believe that these projects are important, but given the more recent revenue trajectory that we're seeing, we're slowing the pace of these investments and pushing some expenses that would have come in the next year or two off to a somewhat longer timeline. Now, given the continued trends, this is even more of a focus now than it was last quarter. Our plan is to steadily reduce headcount growth over the next year. Many teams are going to shrink so that we can shift energy to other areas inside the company. And I want to give our leaders the ability to decide within their teams where to double down, where to backfill attrition, and where to restructure teams while minimizing thrash to the long-term initiatives. The fact that we hired a lot of people earlier this year means that our reported year-over-year headcount growth will still be substantial for the next few quarters, but it should continue to decline over time. Now, this is a period that demands more intensity, and I expect us to get more done with fewer resources. We're currently going through the process of increasing the goals for many of our efforts. Previously challenging periods have been transformational for our company and helped us develop our next generation of leaders. And I expect this period to be no different. I expect that we're going to find a way to keep investing in our top priority areas, and I think we're going to come through this period as a stronger and more disciplined organization. Now, next, I want to discuss how we're doing in our high priority areas. To understand where we're going, it's important to keep in mind that there are two major technological waves that we're riding in our business. The first wave driving our business today is AI. And then the second longer term wave is the emergence of the metaverse. One of the main transformations in our business right now is that social feeds are going from being driven primarily by the people and accounts you follow to increasingly also being driven by AI recommending content that you'll find interesting from across Facebook or Instagram, even if you don't follow those creators. Social content from people you know is going to remain an important part of the experience and some of our most differentiated content. But increasingly, we'll also be able to supplement that with other interesting content from across our networks. Reels is one part of this trend that focuses on the growth of short-form video as a content format. But this overall AI trend is much broader and covers all types of content, including text, images, links, group content, and more. And building a recommendation system across all these types of content is something that we're uniquely focused on. Right now, about 15% of content in a person's Facebook feed and a little more than that of their Instagram feed is recommended by our AI from people, groups, or accounts that you don't follow. And we expect these numbers to more than double by the end of next year. As our AI finds additional content that people will find interesting, that increases engagement and the quality of our feeds. And since we're already efficient at monetizing most of these formats, this should increase our business opportunity over that period as well. Reels engagement is also growing quickly. I shared last quarter that Reels already made up 20% of the time that people spent on Instagram. This quarter, we saw a more than 30% increase in the time that people spent engaging with Reels across Facebook and Instagram. AI advances are driving a lot of these improvements. And one example is that after launching a new large AI model for recommendations, we saw a 15% increase in watch time in the Reels video player on Facebook alone. So I think that there are many improvements like this that we're going to be able to continue to make. As we are building out our discovery engine, though, I want to be clear that we are still ultimately a social company focused on helping people connect. One social trend that we're seeing is that instead of people just interacting in comments in their feeds, most people find interesting content in their feeds, then they message, and then they message that content to friends and interact there. And this creates this flywheel of discovery and then social connection, and then inspiring those people to create more content themselves. In Instagram, for example, we see that Reels makes up more than half of content reshared into messages. So our strategy isn't about public versus social content and interaction. It's really about enabling a flywheel that compounds both. All right, next onto ads. We face a number of challenges here in the near term, but the investments that we're making should give us a comparative advantage over the longer term. One near-term challenge is the growth of short-form video. Reels doesn't yet monetize at the same rate as feed or stories. So in the near term, the faster that Reels grows, the more revenue that actually displaces from higher monetizing surfaces. Now, in theory, we could mitigate this short-term headwind by pushing less hard on growing Reels, but that would be worse for our products and business longer term, since we're confident that Reels will grow engagement overall and quality, and will eventually monetize closer to feed. Our work on ads monetization efficiency for Reels is actually making faster progress than we'd expected. We've now crossed a $1 billion annual revenue run rate for Reels ads, and Reels also has a higher revenue run rate than Stories did at identical times post-launch. So the bottom line is I think we're on track here, and we just need to push through this one. The second challenge that we face here is the signal loss from Apple's iOS changes. And as I've discussed before, our approach here is to grow first-party understanding of people's interests by making it easier for people to engage with businesses in our own apps, whether that's through business messaging, shops, or new ad products. For example, click-to-messaging is part of our business messaging strategy that's grown quickly, with 40% of our advertisers already using this format. The AI wave that we are riding as a tailwind for all of these solutions. Advances in AI enable us to deliver better personalized ads while using less data. So it powers automated messaging and creation tools that let businesses run better performing campaigns, which is particularly important for small businesses that don't have big marketing departments and that have been hit hard by Apple's policy changes. Now, overall, there's a lot of work to do here, and a lot of the investment is in AI compute capex. But I'm confident that if we invest in building the new infrastructure that we need, then we're going to come out of this downturn with even more superior ad products and a meaningful technology advantage over other industry players. Now, of course, the third challenge that we're facing here is the macroeconomy. And we can't control the timing of when things will bounce back. But I'll note that periods like this are when marketers reevaluate their budgets and are even more focused on finding the highest performing advertising. And in the last recession, we invested in our ads business through the downturn, and came out stronger on the other side. And I'm focused on making sure that we do the same today. Now, if AI is the major technological wave that we're riding today, then the last priority that I want to discuss is about the Metaverse technological wave that is currently building. And the Metaverse is a massive opportunity for a number of reasons. Most importantly, it enables deeper social experiences where you feel a realistic sense of presence with other people, no matter where they are. Whether you're playing games or working for hours at a time, or if you're just jumping in for just a minute at a time to say hi to a friend or collaborate on a project quickly. By helping to develop these platforms, we're going to have the freedom to build these experiences the way that we in the overall industry believe will be best, rather than being limited by the constraints that competitors place on us and on our community and on small businesses. And given some of the product and business constraints that we face now, I feel even more strongly now that developing these platforms will unlock hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions, over time. Now, this is obviously a very expensive undertaking over the next several years, but as the metaverse becomes more important in every part of how we live, from our social platforms and entertainment to work and education and commerce, I'm confident that we're going to be glad that we played an important role in building this. The next milestones to look out for here are the continued expansion of Horizon, our social metaverse platform, and the continued improvement of our avatars platform. How you express yourself and interact in the metaverse, as well as the commerce around that. These are some of the areas that we're most focused on. We're going to be launching a web version of Horizon that will be accessible on all platforms later this year, which should dramatically increase the number of people who can use Horizon. And we also just launched our avatar store with digital clothes from leading fashion houses, and we're going to continue expanding that selection and the fidelity of our avatar system overall. On the hardware front, later this year, we'll release Project Cambria, and the experience here is getting pretty awesome. It'll be a high-end device focused on professional users and work with high-resolution color mixed reality. I'm really looking forward to getting this one out. This is just one milestone in the long-term path, but I think people are going to be pretty blown away by this. All right, so those are the areas that I'm most focused on right now, and that I think are going to have the greatest impacts on our products and business over the next few years, and much longer. Periods like this can be tough, but I really think that the additional focus and discipline are going to make us stronger over time. Now, in addition to our business, this is also a period of transition for our leadership team. And before I hand it over to Cheryl for what will be her last earnings call, I want to thank her for everything that she has done for Meta, for our community, and for so many small businesses around the world. It's really hard to overstate how big of an impact that Cheryl has had on so many different parts of what we do and on me personally. At the same time, Javi and Marnie are talented leaders who I've worked with closely for many years. They're the type of people whom I've kept giving more and more responsibility to, and they just keep crushing it. So the expanded roles are well-deserved. And I think that they're going to do a great job carrying our business forward and expanding it in some exciting new ways. And we also shared the news this afternoon that Dave Weiner will be transitioning into a new role as our Chief Strategy Officer, overseeing our strategy and corporate development teams. Dave has done great work as our CFO, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to work with him in this new role. And as part of this, we're also promoting Susan Lee to be Meta's new Chief Financial Officer starting later this year. Susan is an incredibly talented executive, and I think she'll be an excellent CFO. She already runs our financial planning process and plays an important role on our leadership team. And this transition is something that we've been working on for years. All right. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Cheryl.
Thank you, Mark, for those kind words and for being a great leader and friend for the last 14 years. It has been an enormous privilege to work for you to help build this remarkable company. I'd like to focus on Q2 before making some wider observations about the business. Our total revenue in Q2 was $28.8 billion, a decrease of 1% year over year. Foreign exchange trends had a significant impact in Q2, in particular the depreciation of the euro relative to the dollar. On a constant currency basis, we would have seen 3% revenue growth year over year. Similar to last quarter, we saw solid growth in APAC and other parts of the world outside of North America and Europe, where it's been a more challenging environment. These continue to be turbulent times for the global economy. Many of the macro factors having an impact on our revenue are continuations of things we've seen in previous quarters, such as the continued impact of the war in Ukraine and the normalization of e-commerce after the pandemic peak. But there are also new challenges with rising inflation and uncertainty around a looming recession. We know that recessions put pressure on marketers to make sure their ad budgets are spent in the smartest way possible. We're focused on helping them run efficient marketing campaigns that get the best possible return on investment, including helping them shift their ad strategies on our platform in line with user trends and our own evolving ad solutions. I want to pick up on some of the themes Mark just touched on that show how we're doing this: Reels monetization, evolving our ad system, and AI and machine learning. First, Reels monetization. We launched ads in Reels last year. It's growing quickly, and we see it as an area where there is significant potential for growth in the future. It's going to take time, but we have a playbook from our experience with stories. Our focus right now with Reels is ramping up ad load, improving performance, and making sure the ads are easy for advertisers to create. We're also using AI to better understand the content being published in Reels so users can connect to the content that is most relevant to them, and marketers can also show more relevant ads. A good example of a brand seeing results with Reels ads is Wild Alaskan Company, a sustainable seafood delivery business that is consistently adopting and testing our latest ad tools. When they tested adding Reels to their campaign, they saw a 36% increase in return on ad spend, a similar uplift in new subscribers, and a 26% lower cost per new subscriber. Second, adapting our ad system to do more with less data. In the short and medium term, we're working to improve and evolve our ad solutions. We're helping advertisers improve the performance of their ads by growing on-site data conversions with products like lead ads, which make it easier for businesses to generate leads, and with business messaging products like click-to-message ads, where you click on an ad in your Facebook or Instagram feed, and it opens a chat with the business in Messenger, Instagram, or WhatsApp. Business messaging is an area where we see big potential. We estimate that 1 billion users are messaging with a business each week across WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram. Click-to-message is already a multi-billion-dollar business for us, and we continue to see strong double-digit year-over-year growth. These ads are proving particularly popular with SMBs in emerging markets like Brazil and Mexico, many of whom are new advertisers to Meta who come to us to advertise solely in this format. We're making it easier to create these ads directly from the WhatsApp Business app, which will help small businesses looking to find customers and grow. And big brands are incorporating business messaging into their campaigns, like Paramount Studios, who use Click-to-Messenger to promote their blockbuster movie Top Gun Maverick and drive ticket sales. As more brands turn to messaging, paid messaging provides new ways to sell, support, and market right on the chat thread. We're also investing in privacy-safe ways to improve targeting and measurement. For example, We're continuing to invest in improving our Conversions API, which creates a direct, reliable, and privacy-safe connection between advertisers' marketing data and Meta. And over the longer term, we're developing privacy-enhancing technologies to help minimize the personal information we process while still allowing us to show relevant ads and measure performance. One example is Private Lift, which we're currently beta testing with a large number of large advertisers. This is a measurement solution which helps advertisers understand how their campaigns are performing while adding extra layers of privacy to limit the information that can be learned by the advertiser or Meta. While we develop these solutions, we're also collaborating across our industry on technologies and other standards that will support privacy-safe personalized advertising over the long term. Third, on AI and machine learning. I want to emphasize Mark's point that this is a really important part of how we improve our ads ranking and measurement capabilities. AI-driven products like Advantage Detailed Targeting and Advantage Lookalikes help to increase the audience for an ad campaign if it's likely to improve performance. AI is also an important part of how we continue to grow video monetization. A moment ago, I touched on how we're using it in Reels. We've also launched AI-based tools to make it simpler to create video ads for Instagram stories. And we're continuing to test ways for advertisers to transform static images with music and motion so they appear more like video. Turning to the business more broadly, there's no doubt that we're going through a transition period, and doing so at a time of global economic uncertainty. But despite the current challenges, I'm very confident for the long term. We're facing a cyclical downturn, but over the long run, the digital ad market will continue to grow. Advertisers will go where they get the highest return on investment and ability to drive their business. We believe we will continue to show up very favorably compared to other advertising options. Meta is a company that has shown extraordinary resilience. We have demonstrated time and time again that we are prepared to move quickly and at scale to respond to changes in consumer behavior, the macroeconomic landscape, and the needs of our advertising partners. And we have demonstrated time and time again that when we build products, they scale globally. We have made big transitions, like the shift from desktop to mobile or from feed to stories. We innovate relentlessly and are always laser focused on execution, delivering tools and products that help advertisers drive business results. The investments we're making in Reels, our discovery engine, business messaging, retooling our ad system, and especially in helping to build the Metaverse, represent enormous opportunities for our business and our partners. I want to thank the teams that have helped us achieve remarkable success for our business and the millions of other businesses who have grown using our tools and products. I want to thank our partners, large and small, who we learn from every day. And I want to thank our investor community. Your support has helped us to be the innovative and resilient business that we are. I look forward to continuing to serve on Meta's board, where I'll have a front row seat to Meta's success in the years ahead. And now, here's my amazing colleague, Dave.
Thanks, Cheryl, and good afternoon, everyone. Let's begin with our consolidated results. All comparisons are on a year-over-year basis unless otherwise noted. Q2 total revenue was $28.8 billion, down 1% or up 3% on a constant currency basis. Had foreign exchange rates remained constant with Q2 of last year, total revenue would have been approximately $1.3 billion higher. Q2 total expenses were $20.5 billion, up 22% compared to last year. In terms of the specific line items, cost of revenue decreased 4% as growth in core infrastructure investments and content-related costs were more than offset by a reduction in Reality Labs' loss reserves as a result of the announced price increase of Quest 2. R&D increased 43%, mainly driven by hiring to support Family of Apps and Reality Labs. Marketing and sales increased 10%, mainly driven by hiring and marketing spend. Lastly, G&A increased 53%, mainly driven by legal-related and employee-related costs. We added over 5,700 net new hires in Q2, the majority in technical functions. We ended the quarter with over 83,500 full-time employees, up 32% compared to last year. Our second quarter growth rate reflects our hiring progress earlier this year. However, we anticipate headcount growth will slow throughout the rest of the year due to the reduction in our hiring plans. Second quarter operating income was $8.4 billion, representing a 29% operating margin. Our tax rate was 18%. We recorded a loss of $172 million under interest and other expenses, driven mainly by unrealized losses in equity investments. Net income was $6.7 billion, or $2.46 per share. Capital expenditures, including principal payments on finance leases, were $7.7 billion, driven by investments in servers, data centers, and network infrastructure. The big step up in CapEx, both year over year and sequentially, related to server spend, including for our AI infrastructure. Sustainability remains a key focus of our infrastructure efforts, and in June, we published our third annual sustainability report. The report demonstrates continued progress on our sustainability initiatives. Free cash flow was $4.5 billion. We repurchased $5.1 billion of our Class A common stock in the second quarter, and we ended the quarter with $40.5 billion in cash and marketable securities. Moving now to our segment results. I'll begin with the Family of Apps segment. Q2 total Family of Apps revenue was $28.4 billion, down 1%. Q2 Family of Apps revenue was $28.2 billion, down 1%, or up 3% on a constant currency basis. Advertising revenue growth slowed throughout the second quarter as advertiser demand softened. The deceleration has been broad-based across verticals, and we believe businesses are lowering their advertising spend in response to the increased economic uncertainty. Foreign currency headwinds also increased throughout the second quarter. While it wasn't a factor contributing to the deceleration in Q2, we're also continuing to face targeting and measurement headwinds such as Apple's iOS changes, which we believe are contributing to the growth challenges across the digital advertising industry. On a user geography basis, year-over-year ad revenue growth was strongest in Asia Pacific and rest of world at 13% and 11% respectively, with both regions benefiting meaningfully from strong growth in click-to-messaging ads. North America and Europe declined 4% and 12% respectively. Foreign currency was a headwind in all international regions, with Europe and Asia Pacific experiencing the largest impacts. In Q2, the total number of ad impressions served across our services increased 15%, and the average price per ad decreased 14%. Impression growth was driven by Asia Pacific and rest of world. The year-over-year decline in pricing was driven by a reduction in advertiser demand, the mix shift in ad impressions towards lower monetizing services and regions, and foreign currency depreciation. Family of Apps other revenue was $218 million, up 14%, driven by the WhatsApp Business API. Family of Apps expenses were $17.2 billion, up 23%, driven mainly by employee-related expenses, legal costs, and infrastructure costs. Family of Apps operating income was $11.2 billion, representing a 39% operating margin. We estimate that approximately 2.9 billion people used at least one of our Family of Apps on a daily basis in June, and that approximately 3.6 billion people used at least one on a monthly basis. Facebook daily active users were 1.97 billion, up 3%, or 60 million compared to last year. DAUs represented approximately 67% of the 2.93 billion monthly active users in June. MAUs grew by 39 million, or 1% compared to last year. Europe DAUs and MAUs declined sequentially and were negatively impacted by the loss of users in Russia and Ukraine. Within our Reality Labs segment, Q2 revenue was $452 million, up 48%, driven primarily by Quest 2 sales. Reality Labs expenses were $3.3 billion, up 19%, due to growth in employee-related costs and R&D operating expenses that were partially offset by the previously mentioned reduction in loss reserves. Reality Labs operating loss was $2.8 billion in the second quarter. Turning now to the outlook. We expect third quarter 2022 total revenue to be in the range of $26 to $28.5 billion. This outlook reflects a continuation of the weak advertising demand environment we experienced throughout the second quarter, which we believe is being driven by broader macroeconomic uncertainty. We also anticipate third quarter Reality Labs revenue to be lower than second quarter revenue. Our guidance assumes foreign currency will be an approximately 6% headwind to year-over-year total revenue growth in the third quarter based on current exchange rates. In addition, as noted on previous calls, we continue to monitor developments regarding the viability of transatlantic data transfers and their potential impact on our European operations. Turning now to the expense outlook. We expect 2022 total expenses to be in the range of $85 to $88 billion, lowered from our prior outlook of $87 to $92 billion. We've reduced our hiring and overall expense growth plan this year to account for the more challenging operating environment while continuing to direct resources towards our company priorities. We expect 2022 capital expenditures, including principal payments on finance leases, to be in the range of $30 to $34 billion, narrowed from our prior range of $29 to $34 billion. Absent any changes to U.S. tax law, we expect our full year 2022 tax rate to be above the Q2 rate and in the high teens. In closing, we're in the midst of an economic cycle that is having a broad impact on the digital advertising business. We're being disciplined on spending while still investing in those areas that will position to drive growth as the economic environment improves. Before opening up the call for questions, I want to say how pleased I am that Susan Lee will serve as our next CFO when I step into my new role in November. Susan and I have worked side by side for the last 10 years, and she is an outstanding leader for the team. With that, France, let's open up the call for questions.
Thank you. We will now open the lines for question and answer session. To ask a question, press the 1 followed by the 4 on your touch-tone phone. Please pick up your handset before asking your question to ensure clarity. If you are streaming today's call, please mute your computer speakers. Our first question is from the line of Brian Nowak with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead with your question.
The first one around engagement and overall time spent among the users. Mark, you guys are making a lot of changes around AI and Reels, et cetera. It's encouraging to hear the stats about 30% increase in time spent with Reels across Facebook and Instagram. As you're studying those users that are using more Reels, are you seeing total time among those users grow? Said another way, are all these changes proving to be incremental? That's the first one. And the second one on headcount growth, understanding we're expecting a slowing of headcount in the back half, but Mark, to kind of go to your points about at some point you could see headcount decline, should we think about 23 as being a year in which headcount declines for the company? Thanks.
Yeah, Brian, I can take both of those, and then Mark can add any color if he would like. Reels is additive to time spent, but obviously it does have a cannibalistic impact as well, but the net impact is positive. There is some engagement that we think is coming out of surfaces like Feed and Stories, and we're getting that engagement on Reels. And that's been part of our explicit strategy to get Reels in front of more users. But overall, it is incrementally beneficial to time spent. And then on headcount growth, we're not putting any markers yet out for 2023, but we're, as Mark said, we're reducing our headcount growth rates, and we plan to be more focused on maintaining a lot of discipline on headcount growth as we go into 2023. So as we get closer to that and the setting of the budget, we'll be giving more explicit guidance on that, Brian. France, you can go to the next question.
Our next question is from Justin Post with Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Great. Thanks for taking my questions. In the headwinds, you didn't mention TikTok. Are you seeing any dollars or advertisers pull that could be moving over there for maybe lower CPMs? Any thoughts on competitive headwinds? And then second, just a quick question on guidance. Is there contemplated pressure on quarter revenue in 3Q versus 2Q because of the real usage increases? Thank you.
I'll take the first question. We exist in a really competitive advertising market where advertisers have broad opportunities to advertise both offline and online, and there are almost endless options. So we know we have to earn our share and continue to deliver great ROI and be able to measure results. And that's why we're focused on the continual product improvements that we talk about in these calls quarter over quarter, and will continue to do going forward.
And Justin, let me make sure I got that question. I think you were asking about Q3 and just pressure on Q3 because of Reels usage. Mark mentioned that, we were really excited that the run rate on Reels crossed $1 billion, but it is overall, because engagement is shifting to Reels, it is an overall headwind on the business. We haven't specifically quantified that, but there is a headwind on the business as Reels grows. In the long run, we of course believe that this will be a tailwind on revenue, but that's not happening in 2022. We're optimistic that it can be in the long run. But in general, the pressure that we're seeing on Q3 is overwhelmingly a macro one, where we're seeing sort of broad-based weakness across most of the verticals.
Our next question is from Eric Sheridan with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thanks so much for taking the questions. Two, if I could. One, in terms of honing the focus on investments inside the company and re-examining the cost side, how should we think about the mix between Reality Labs and Family of Apps and what the impact might be on relative loss or margin structure of the two segments as you hone the cost structure of the company and think about that investment cycle in both areas of the business? That would be number one. And number two, maybe just following up on Justin's question and broadening out a little bit, is there any way to unpack some of the impact of macro, which is clearly outrunning some of the easier comps you'd be facing in Q3? Because we're lapping IDFA from a year ago, there was an easier comp on top of just IDFA, and yet the implied is that the rate of growth continues to sort of weaken in Q3 versus Q2. So maybe unpacking a little bit some of the headwinds versus tailwinds in Q3 to Q2 would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, Eric, I can take those. And again, if anybody has color, they can add. On the investment focus, I would say, broad base, we're really focusing the investments that the company is making on the key priorities. Now, one of those key priorities is clearly the effort that we have behind the Metaverse and Reality Labs. So it remains an area in which we are going to be increasing investment, but we do plan to have discipline across the entire operating posture of the company. When looking at the Q3 comps, I think you're making an important point. As we headed into the back half of this year, we do get the benefit in our year-over-year growth rates from lapping the Apple iOS rollout, which happened, was largely complete by Q3 and Q4 of last year. So we're getting the benefit of more favorable comps on the signals headwinds, but that is being offset by the macro environment and the challenges we're seeing there. Now, of course, there are, some hard to unpack, factors. That is at the first order, but of course, we're seeing just generally challenging environment for digital advertising. And there's several compounding factors. Of course, there's just the overall economic uncertainty that's reflected in the markets. There is the fact that we're lapping periods in which there was still a benefit from COVID in some of the sectors that are important to us, like e-commerce. And then finally, just the signals headwinds and the challenges that advertisers are facing on a second order basis may be affecting some spend. So, but at least, on the first order, we think it's, largely a macro environment that is offsetting the benefit that we would otherwise be getting from lapping the iOS 14 rollout last year.
Our next question is from Mark Shmulik with Bernstein. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi. Two questions, if I may. The first for Mark, back to the discovery engine pivot. Certainly a big change, for the platform, and certainly understand, users' hesitancy on kind of any changes. But beyond the flywheel effect of sharing, any more color you can share on kind of what would differentiate the discovery platform here on Facebook and Instagram versus some other platforms would be much appreciated. And then secondly, on the buyback cadence, is there any right way to think about that? I know the buyback kind of went down a little bit, this quarter, and I've also noticed it kind of seems to trend along with free cash flow generation. Is that the right way to think about the buyback strategy going forward? Thank you.
You want to take buybacks, and then
Yeah.
I'll take the product question?
Yep. Do you want to go first? I can do buybacks first. So thanks, Mark. Obviously we look at a lot of factors when it comes to our buyback program. We still have a substantial amount remaining in the buyback program, and we expect to continue to have buybacks as part of our capital allocation strategy going forward. So no real change in posture to announce there. We'll continue to be looking at capital return opportunities over time.
Great. Yeah, and on the discovery engine thing, there are a few different pieces of context that I think are important here. One is social content from the people is going to continue being very important, and obviously following people is an important signal. If you go back 10 years ago, the AI to basically figure out what types of things you were interested in other than having a signal of what you directly followed didn't really exist. It wasn't good enough. So, who you followed or who you were friends with was this sort of amazing signal, and it was more unique in a way. Whereas now increasingly, AI is able to identify things that you're interested in that might be from accounts that you're not following, or might even be whole topics that you're not following anyone in that topic, and that just unlocks a bigger corpus of content that you're going to be interested in. So these social parts of what we do will always remain. I think that will be a very kind of differentiated and important part of what we're doing. On the discovery engine piece, I do think that we're taking a different approach than some competitors, and that we have a lot of different types of content formats. So I talked about this a little bit up front in my opening remarks, but the AI that we're building here, it doesn't just apply to videos, right? And it's certainly not just short form videos. It also works with text and links and photos and content in groups and discussions on comments and all of these different things. And actually, one of the really fascinating AI problems is to produce just like basically a very large model. The AI researchers call it an embedding. That's basically trying to unpack basically like meaning or semantics or kind of what a post is about into this very high dimensional mathematical space. But that can work across all different content types, and being able to do that well, I think we'll end up producing a different experience on Facebook and Instagram compared to some of our other competitors that are just focused on one content format. And I think in that sense, what we're doing is going to be pretty unique and is going to create a lot of value. I don't think people are going to want to be constrained to just one format. And I certainly think that people are going to always continue caring about what's going on with their friends and family and people they know as well. So this is all going to be kind of a growing thing that makes it so that there's more interesting content available, and basically it makes the service more just better for people to engage with than other things. And then part of the business challenge is just, we need to make sure we can monetize Reels well. Like I said in my opening remarks, that's sort of on track, but less than the rest of Feed today. But we're optimistic that we'll get it there. So that way, as this ends up increasing the overall engagement on the platform, it'll also end up being a tailwind for the business too.
Our next question is from Doug Anmuth with JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking the questions. One for Cheryl and one for Cheryl, I was hoping you could just talk about what inning you think you're in building out and implementing the ad system to do more with less data for advertising. And do you expect that over time you'll ever be able to return to the levels of targeting and measurement from before the platform changes? And Dave, if macro slows down more, into perhaps next year and even beyond, or your revenue growth flattens even for other reasons, are you prepared to down overall expense growth to a similar level to preserve margins and profitability? Thanks.
I can take the first. So I don't know if I'm, the baseball aficionado. I can't do an exact inning, and I'm kind of hoping inning is baseball. Is that right? Someone nod. Yes, it is. It is. There are 9 of them, but I don't know exactly which one we are. But I will say that I think we're pretty early on this. I think in many ways we use data very effectively and in a very privacy safe way all along to build out very measurable results and very measurable personalized targeting for advertisers. And I think we led there. And now we're in a new era where we have to do that same form of targeting, that same form of measurement, using less data. And I think it's pretty early days in our ability to do that. We're going to do it by investing on our own, investing in AI, investing in machine learning. We're going to do it in rolling out products like we have recently that help us and advertisers measure where we're sharing less data between, as I talked about in my remarks. But we're also going to do it with our industry, because it's worth noting that this is not a challenge we face alone. This is a challenge that anyone that's running on the Apple iOS platform has, and the industry is working together, I think, pretty collaboratively, in not every player, but in a lot of players, many ways, to get solutions.
Yeah, Doug, I just wanted to, first kind of hit the premise of the question, which is, if we continue to see macroeconomic challenges, it's just historically macroeconomic challenges are often linked to some sort of cyclical effects, and we do know there's lots of things going on in the broader economy that point in that direction, including rate hikes and the like. So, we do think there is a cyclical component of this. We know that advertising can be especially subject to these cyclical pressures. We do think that long term, digital within advertising continues to have a very positive future, and we think that we are positioned to continue to grow engagement nicely and build the best products in digital in the market. So we're quite confident that as the market conditions improve, we'll continue to be able to return to nice levels of growth. But we also, I think, have demonstrated that we're willing to take into account the market environment as we plan our overall expense and capital base. So we'll continue to monitor that as we go into future budget and planning cycles.
Our next question is from Michael Nathanson with MoffettNathanson. Please go ahead.
Thanks. I have two, maybe one for Sheryl and one for Mark. Hey, Sheryl, I'm just interested in this juxtaposition that Reels grew faster than Stories did. You reached $1 billion. Yet at the same time, you're saying that it's a harder business to monetize. So why do you think that the adoption was faster? And then in terms of the sticking points, when you talk to advertisers, what are the things that they need to solve for in order to move money faster to Reels? And Mark, I think going to one of the early questions about your advantages at Facebook, the previous moat, we would argue, was just the social graph of billions of people, families and friends. Do you think what you're building now with AI and short-form video and all this other content is a better moat, is a better business than the one you had before, which was a pretty high barrier to entry, just given the social effects of the network you built? So those are my questions. Thanks.
So I'll take the Reels one. On Reels, we have a playbook where we, I think, do a very good job building products that consumers love to use, and then building ad formats which match those products so they can integrate nicely into the consumer experience. So we learn from Stories how to do that, and I think part of the faster adoption of Reels ads is that we are getting better at this. We know we need to make it really easy for advertisers to create that content. We know we need to create the ad formats. We know we need to give them measurable tools, and we've gotten better at selling the next product, and I think we'll continue to get better at that going forward. But as you do say, there are still some challenges. Video is harder than photos, than static photos. Small businesses are better at static photos than they are at video. So this is a new format that we have to help them use. I think we have a number of tools that are working. We have a number of tools in development. But the idea is to help businesses really easily create those Reels ads, really easily test them so they can iterate and keep improving as we do this. So I think it's very promising, but we've got some hard work ahead of us.
Yeah, and in terms of building sustainable competitive advantages, in terms of the social graph, right, which you cited from before, people have been able to get that from phones for more than a decade now, right? So I don't really think that's been the thing for us. I think it's we're a serious technology company. We invest a lot in building infrastructure, and culturally we focus on moving and learning faster than everyone else. And I think that those are sustainable advantages. So certainly I think that the AI technology and infrastructure that we're building, I think it can compound and be better than others in the industry, and that will be an advantage and make the products better over time. But I think at the end of the day, what that really comes down to is just, I try to push the company to be one that learns faster and keeps iterating and moving faster than we did in the past, and than others in the industry do. And I think if we can do that well, then we'll continue to succeed. But I think the moment that we stop doing that, then we'll basically fall behind. It's a very competitive field, and we need to keep on pushing ahead. But I think the reason why we have succeeded and seen so good results with Facebook and Instagram and the other social apps is because we basically focus pretty relentlessly on just pushing to constantly improve them. And we're going to do that with AI too. And I feel pretty good about the internal results that we've gotten on this. It's a big effort. At this point, we have multi-year roadmaps in place, so it's not like back when I was in a dorm room and just shipping code every week. I mean, so these are we're touching billions of people's lives and building really deep technologies. These are long-term things, but I think the same principles basically still apply for how you want to build a company and stay ahead. And I think that that's going to be the sustainable advantage. But yeah, I do think AI, if we can do this better in terms of recommendation systems, that's going to make Facebook better. It's going to make Instagram better. It's going to make the ads better. Which is why in my opening remarks I talked about AI as one of the big technology waves that we're riding. I think it's certainly I think that that's the truth. It's a kind of a big underlying factor for our business, but we need to execute on that well, and I think we're starting to see a bunch of good results on that.
Our next question is from Youssef Squali with Truist Securities. Please go ahead.
Great. Thank you very much. Just, I guess, a follow-up on Reels, and thank you for the billion-dollar run rate commentary. But just kind of stepping back, how far behind is the monetization of Reels versus maybe Instagram Stories right now? I think you mentioned earlier that it's already tracking ahead versus Instagram when Instagram Stories were launched. Just trying to get a sense of how long before we get to parity. Is it a matter of several quarters or several years? And maybe how quickly did Stories get to parity with Newsfeed back in 2018? And Mark, how important is M&A to you accomplishing your vision of the metaverse? And I ask because one of the regulatory agencies just today announced a lawsuit to block your acquisition of Within, a seemingly pretty small VR fitness app. Thank you.
Yeah, Yusuf, I'll take those. In terms of Reels monetization and the Stories journey that we went on, Stories really started rolling out in earnest in, I think it was 2018. It really wasn't until, this year that we, at least in the developed markets, got to parity on a monetization basis, on a time spent basis with feed. So it was a multi-year journey. I think we're still very early in that multi-year journey with Reels. So though we're proud of where we've gotten on a run rate basis, we're still very early in the trajectory of monetization. And we'll have to see. We're able to do a great job of closing that gap with Stories. I think there's always unique features in each different format that make an exact analogy imperfect, but we're optimistic on our ability to at least get a good ways on that journey towards closing the gap. In terms of M&A, there's the M&A is definitely a component of our strategy, and we'll continue to look at acquisitions going forward. In terms of the specific announcement about the FTC looking to block the Within acquisition, I would refer you to our statement in the newsroom. But we believe that the acquisition of Within would be good for competition and expand the VR ecosystem, and would attract new users to VR and make it a more productive space for new and existing developers. So we definitely take odds with the FTC's position on that.
Our next question is from Brent Thill with Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Dave, just when you think about this downturn that you're in now and comparing it to past downturns, many are asking, do you feel this is shallower? Is there a longer duration of this? Is there any sense you have in how you think about the duration of what we're all seeing right now?
Thanks, Brent. And you get the prize for asking just one question. I think it's really there's a lot of unique factors in the place we are in right now. One is that we're also comping against these very strong periods for online advertising during the pandemic that make the downturn sort of coincide with some reversion to offline behavior that exacerbates the impact of I think what is a cyclical sort of finance-driven downturn with the reversion to sort of more offline behavior. So I think you've got some unique things going on in the online ecosystem that do sort of exacerbate some of those cyclical effects because of the tough comps. And we've seen, obviously not just us, but others kind of experience that. I think in terms of prognosticating on, the cycle itself and the duration, I'll leave that for better economists than I to understand how that may play out. But obviously, the continued difficult environment is factored into our Q3 guidance.
Our next question is from Ross Sandler with Barclays. Please go ahead.
Great. It's kind of something others have already asked on this call, but maybe we could flush it out a little bit better. But you talk about medium term gaining competitive advantage and gaining back market share on the revenue side. But I think some folks on this call are doubting that, looking at the 2Q numbers, which obviously have like IDFA and Reels in there, but the 3Q guide compared to the likes of Google, Amazon, TikTok, and the numbers that they're putting up. And if you look at previous times where you've gained competitive advantage, you also had a big data advantage that seemingly you may not enjoy post IDFA anymore versus those other companies. So can you maybe flesh out either specific products that you are working on that you're pumped up about that could drive that competitive advantage on the revenue side, and when that might happen? Is this a 2023 event, or is this more kind of like long term that we think will claw that back? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ross. I think there's a lot in there. So why don't I at least just take the components of it that I think that we can kind of address. I think Cheryl and Mark both outlined some of the areas that we're really focused on the revenue side. Reels is obviously right now a tailwind to revenue, but we're excited about continuing to grow engagement on Reels and then grow monetization on that over time. So we think that's a very interesting venue for our clients to explore and advertise on, and that's going to create some real opportunities for them and us over time. We're also investing in AI to make our ads products better, and we're excited about what we can do there. And Cheryl talked about some of the different products there. So we think that those are a couple examples of things that will position us well. As it relates to kind of competitive dynamics, I think there's a lot of different things going on in the industry. Different companies are affected differently, or not at all, or not as significantly by things like the headwinds related to the iOS changes. There's also just different mixes of vertical businesses that affect affect how different companies are affected by the current economic climate and the COVID lockdown. So you've got a lot going on, but we're confident in our ability to continue to build the best products for users to be engaged, as well as building great advertising products for businesses who want to reach those consumers.
Our
Operator,
last
we have
question.
time for. Thank you. Last question.
Thank you. Our last question will be from Mark Mahaney with Evercore ISI. Please go ahead.
Hey, a couple of things. Dave and Cheryl, just wanted to wish you best of luck going forwards. And Cheryl, particularly want to congratulate you. I think 5 to 120 billion over 14 years is pretty damn impressive. So congratulations. Wish you all the best going forwards. Two questions. One on AI. Mark, you talked about the advantages of AI. Any update on how AI is done in terms of tackling content moderation issues? Do you feel like you've made some breakthroughs there? And then Cheryl, you talked about this click-to-message marketing opportunity, and you've mentioned a couple of times over the last couple of calls that it's a couple of billion in revenue, but particularly strong, I think, in Latin America and the rest of the world. Any thoughts on the opportunity for that as a business within North America and Western Europe? Is it just culturally different, or are there certain things that can be done to make it just as good, strong in those markets as it is in the others? Thank you.
Yeah, I can take the first question on AI. On content moderation, most of this is done through AI today, and it's, every quarter we release a community standards enforcement report where basically the main metric is what percent of the harmful content are our systems identifying and taking an action on before someone has to report it to us, and those metrics are generally moving in the right direction, and different things going on in the world make them sometimes fluctuate. But in general, we've made a lot of progress there over the last few years, and I'm quite proud of that. We focused a lot of AI efforts there, and at this point, a lot of the newer AI efforts that we have, and we're obviously going to continue that work as well. But a lot of the new efforts are focused on recommendations of content, and in these large sparse models that can do better content and ads recommendations with a much larger model with even sparse data. So yeah, pretty optimistic about that overall. All right, Cheryl.
Mark, thank you for those kind words. And also thank you for this question, because this will be the last one I take. And it's exactly the note I'd like to end on, because it's a part of our business we're so excited about. Click-to-messaging ads is one of our fastest growing ad formats. It's already a multi-billion-dollar business for us, growing at double digits. And that's because, again, I think it follows the playbook we've had of building a consumer engagement that businesses can be part of, having that consumer behavior happen first, and then being able to work with businesses. So messaging is growing hugely quickly everywhere in the world. And we have particularly engaged broad, very well-used messaging platforms, and many of them. So when you think about consumers using it, we already know that's happening. And then businesses are increasingly using it. And you're right that we've seen a lot of that behavior start in other parts of the world, but we are seeing that behavior in North America and Europe as well. And I think we're deep believers that behavior will continue to grow all over the world. So that means that click-to-messaging ads become the perfect opportunity. They help us move people from discovery to a direct relationship with a business. In a world where we're trying to do more with less data, they give businesses and consumers a direct connection, so it's much easier to measure ROI. And so we're investing heavily. You can message a business from Facebook and Instagram feed, from Facebook, Instagram Messenger stories, to WhatsApp Messenger, Instagram Direct. You can see how many entry points we have to drive real engagement and real demand. And I'll end with a case study. Romehow Creative, they're a small business consultancy. They used click-to-messaging ads for lead generation, and then they compared those to their normal ads, which were driving website conversions. And the click-to-messenger ads resulted in 2.3 times more qualified leads. And this is important, a 57% lower cost per lead. And that doesn't even take into account the fact that it was measurable, that even if the return had been the same, they would have been able to measure it and attribute it more directly to our platforms. So we are hugely optimistic about this area of our business, and I am very convinced it will work and is already working everywhere in the world.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to speaking with you again.
All right, team. So that was the Meta earnings call. Again, we're going to be back bright and early tomorrow morning going over the GDP results at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're also going to be covering Amazon and Apple earnings tomorrow as well. We're going to be trading about 120K in buying power tomorrow morning at the opening bell. So stick around, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell if you want stream alerts as we do here. And yeah, we appreciate everybody taking the time and watching our stream, and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. And again, we day trade, swing trade, and invest. My goal for this channel is just to offer free trading content without selling anything, without charging for anything, without claiming to be experts. We give everything away for free. Sorry. Yeah, we give everything away for free. We don't charge a penny for any content. All of our content is free. There's no barrier for any of our content outside of maybe subscribing or whatever it is. So hit that subscribe button, guys. Good luck. We'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, good luck. Good luck. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let me know if you think Meta's going to bounce back. I appreciate SPAC. Shout out to SPAC. Shout out to Pawn. Shout out to Daniel for all our mods here. We appreciate the help today, guys. Definitely, for sure. We genuinely appreciate you guys. Everybody hit that like button, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, subscribe to Beginner Crypto. It's pinned at the top of the page, and also join our Discord. You'll find those links in the description. See you, team.